Chapter 101. Battle Formation. Behind the torture chamber elder, there were two red-clothed guards. They were the torture chamber's enforcers, the elites of the elites. When they saw that this useless third young master had completely turned against them, they immediately ordered the elite guards to form a battle formation. The opponent had a bronze-ranked level 5, two-headed demon wolf. It was extremely fast and had terrifying destructive power. Facing it alone was definitely a suicidal action. Although there were many puppet beasts, they did not have intelligence. As long as the opponent lured them, they would scatter into a ball. They could not be used as the main battle force, and could only barely restrain the enemy. The torture chamber elder was so angry that he almost fainted. He was temporarily unable to give orders. The two red-robed executioners gave the order for the elite guards to form an iron-like battle formation. They decided to take down this good-for-nothing third young master first. Of course, Hui Tai Lang would not compete with a dozen puppet beasts. Back in the Ares temple, it had already been used as bait. Now, luring these puppet beasts was like a walk in the park. Forget about the spacious and flat ground here. Even in the vile terrain of the demon's blood swamp, under the circumstances of being chased by a family of 9-headed monsters, Hui Tai Lang would still be able to escape unscathed. Furthermore, it had been kicked back into the swamp by Yu Yang more than once to lure the 9-headed monsters. To it, luring enemies was even easier than an old cat catching mice. It nimbly jumped around the clumsy puppet beasts. From time to time, it would lift its leg and pee on the puppet beast's feet. If the puppet beasts were alive, they would probably have gone mad with anger. 1,000 years ago, there was a philosopher in the Soaring Dragon continent who said, "Like master, like beast." This saying was probably more appropriate than anyone else when used on Yu Yang and Hui Tai Lang. All the puppet beasts had been lured away by Hui Tai Lang. Those puppet beasts of all sizes squeezed each other and clumsily followed Hui Tai Lang into the distance. The elite guards realized that this two-headed demon wolf was more cunning than humans. They were all sweating profusely and quickly summoned strengthening-type beasts to increase their combat power. They shouted loudly, like an army, hitting the ground with the end of their spears to boost their morale. They were elites who had gone through the strict training of the army's elite troops. They were very different from normal guards. Every one of them had the strength of a squad leader of an ordinary guard. In terms of battle skills, they had also learned the Yu clan spear arts. Although they only knew 4 moves, they were still many times stronger than the normal mercenaries' iron chopping blade arts and crushing stone hammer arts. Family rules, family rules, family rules. The elite guards shouted loudly, their voices getting louder and louder. Finally, their aura exploded, deafening. When the red-robed executioner saw that the time was right, he pointed the blood-red spear in his hand at Yu Yang and said, "Arrest them all and bring them to the torture chamber for trial." Yu Bing was worried that her brother would be outnumbered, so she came out from the carriage curtains. "Brother, let me help you." She was just about to summon her grimoire, but was stopped by Yu Yang, 7th sister. "The best part is yet to come. You are my brother's secret weapon. You don't need to do anything now. Stay in the carriage and look after 4th mother and Shuang." He felt that if he revealed his strength too early, he would not be able to fight this battle. He did not summon the barbarian Cow Shadow, nor the Golden King Beast Bloody Queen. There was no need to use them now. He did not even use Hui Jin or Crescent Blade. He only took a bundle of solid wooden roots that were cut down from a tree on the road. He just wanted to use some battle skills, who didn't know how to do it. Although Yu Yang mainly trained in the innate invisible sword Qi, his understanding of the Yu clan spear arts and other simple battle skills was much better than those who had immersed themselves in the Yu clan for decades. The most important thing was that Yu Yang was very good at disguising himself. He was also a selfish person, so he was unwilling to reveal the most powerful parts of his spear techniques, which were the hardest to master. He was afraid that others would secretly learn them, so he only revealed smashing, chopping, sweeping, pointing, smashing, picking, pulling, twisting, dancing, and other techniques that were similar to staff techniques. Thus, he prepared a bundle of wooden rods, one in each hand, and another bundle on his back. He could take them out at any time to beat the dogs. This way, he could abuse his opponent with peace of mind and also not let others secretly learn his battle skills. Being loud doesn't necessarily make sense. Only having a bigger fist makes sense. Yu Yang could summon his beast to abuse his opponent, but he didn't do so. He felt that it was more satisfying to do it himself. He had never liked to reason with others. Using violence to curb violence was something that he liked. If there was a need to reason, wouldn't it be more useful to beat the enemy to the ground and then step on the enemy's back? Go! The two red-clothed executioners waved their hands, and the elite guards formed the vanguard battle formation. They brandished their long spears, forming a spear formation as they shouted and rushed towards Yu Yang. What a joke! If this move was used on the battlefield against normal soldiers, they might be able to forcefully create a gap in the enemy's formation. However, these elite guards chose to charge at Yu Yang, this shameless man with abnormal strength. Then their formation would be a big mistake. Yu Yang was the first to shout. He gathered a huge amount of strength in his arms and threw the wooden rod in his hands out like a spear. The wooden rod whistled as it flew towards the vanguard battle formation's leader's lower abdomen. If it wasn't for the fact that this fellow had a strengthening type iron armor beast to protect his body, he would have been pierced through by this wooden rod. The iron armor exploded, and the wooden rod pierced his abdomen like a spear, almost penetrating his back. The elite leader spat out a mouthful of blood. He screamed miserably and fell backwards. The vanguard battle formation's strongest point was broken by Yu Yang's throw. The guards on both sides couldn't even react in time and continued to charge forward with all their might. The people in the middle were blocked by the leader and couldn't stop their steps. They were in a mess, and if it wasn't for their training, they would have collapsed long ago. In the midst of the chaos, Yu Yang appeared like the Grim Reaper. His shadow floated high in the air, and he swung his rod towards the sky, smashing it down with the force of a thunderbolt. At least 5 or 6 elite guards were caught unprepared and fell to the ground after being smashed by Yu Yang's rod. After successfully charging into the battle formation, Yu Yang held his rod with both hands, smashing and hitting randomly. He didn't need any tactics now, since there were people all around him. When the rod broke, he would take another one from his back. Look at my dog-beating rod technique. It's specially used to beat dogs. Yu Yang felt that this was the most satisfying beating he had ever beaten in his life. These guards were all elites, and their bodies were tall and sturdy. Furthermore, they had beasts to protect their bodies, so their resistance was not bad. They weren't the kind of people who would fall in one hit, so it was very satisfying to beat them. Yu Yang's brute force exploded, and in the end, all the rods were broken. He raised his fists and gave up on using the dog-beating rod technique from before and used the Big Dipper godly fist instead, hitting anyone he saw. For a moment, he was invincible. Almost every punch he threw would cause teeth to break and blood to spurt out. The two red-clothed executioners at the back were dumbstruck. Only now did they realize that although this good-for-nothing third young master didn't know how to contract beasts, he was definitely abnormal when it came to training his combat skills. Heavens, this brat is the same as his father, an idiot who majored in combat skills. The two red-clothed executioners almost fainted. They never would have thought that this good-for-nothing that everyone could bully actually had such terrifying strength. Luckily, he can't contract beasts, otherwise, what are you guys still standing there for? Take down Ah Xian and that little girl. This brat will naturally listen to you. What's the use of brute force? Are your beasts all dead? The torture chamber elder finally woke up. Seeing the mess in front of him, he was so angry that his blood-stained beard trembled. He angrily ordered his 2 subordinates to capture the beautiful woman and the little girl. But Lady Xian and Ninth Miss don't know any martial arts. What if they fail? The 2 executioners were in a difficult position. They were only collateral descendants. It was fine if they bullied the good-for-nothing third young master, since he had no future prospects. Moreover, the third young master's marriage with Miss Shui had always attracted jealousy. Many people secretly liked him for bullying him, so they wouldn't talk about it. Lady Xian was the 4th mistress. If they touched her now, even if the 4th master didn't pursue the matter, it was hard to guarantee that the 4th master wouldn't find a chance to take revenge on them in the future. The ninth miss was even more of a child. No one could predict her future. If she successfully contracted a grimoire early on and was chosen by the four great sects or the royal family, then they would be out of luck. In the Yu clan, touching women and children was a taboo. If they obeyed the order to capture the third young master, they would grit their teeth and do it, even if it was difficult. If they were to touch women and children, with the old master's fiery temper, he would definitely kill them without hesitation. How many heads do they have to chop then? At that time, who will protect them? Seeing that his subordinates didn't listen, the torture chamber elder flew into a rage. He immediately glared at the two executioners. I'll take responsibility if anything happens. Execute the order immediately, otherwise I'll cripple you. The two executioners were so scared that they rushed towards the horse carriage. Of course, they still didn't dare to attack the beautiful woman in the horse carriage. Instead, they killed the two horses outside. The bald torture chamber elder was so angry that he personally summoned a strong beast, the iron claw bear, to strengthen himself. Then, he rushed towards the horse carriage. He originally wanted to take down Yu Yang himself, but seeing that Yu Yang's combat skills were really terrifying and that he was extremely fast, he was afraid that if he was not careful, he would be burned by this brat. If he was hit by this brat, even if he wasn't injured, his reputation would be ruined. If he lost face in front of his subordinates, it would be hard for him to convince the others in the future. Hence, the torture chamber elder decided to take down the women and children first. As for the trash third young master, he would make him kneel in front of him and tie him up. You're courting death. Yu Yang was furious in his heart. Although this was also his plan, he was waiting for the torture chamber elder to attack the beautiful woman. Then, he would use this point to completely suppress the Yu clan's despicable people in terms of martial arts and logic. However, when he saw that the torture chamber elder really launched a sneak attack, his heart couldn't help but explode with anger. Like a bolt of lightning, he flew towards the torture chamber elder. The torture chamber elder had also been paying attention to Yu Yang's movements and was secretly on guard. When he saw that Yu Yang had abandoned his elite guards and flew towards him, he immediately laughed coldly. He threw the spear in his hand towards the horse carriage with all his might. Then, he exploded with the greatest strength of his beast and turned around to face Yu Yang. No matter if this spear was successful or not, he could just push the blame to his two subordinates. As for the trash third young master, who had watched his mother and sister being killed with his own eyes, how would he be able to endure this provocation? As long as he lost control of his mind, would he still be a match for him? With his giant bear's strength combined with his strengthened claws, how could he, a trash who didn't know how to contract beasts and couldn't even summon a guardian beast, fight against him? A cold light flashed in the bald torture chamber elder's eyes. He raised his right claw that had transformed into a giant bear high up and smashed it heavily towards Yu Yang's body that was pouncing towards him. Die together with your mother and sister. He laughed coldly in his heart. Trash doesn't have the right to live in this world, however. He didn't see that after his spear pierced an inch into the curtains, it froze into a popsicle. Half a second later, it was shaken into ice shards again. This was Little One Li's masterpiece. Yu Yang wasn't an idiot. He wouldn't let the inexperienced Yu Bing protect the beautiful woman and the little girl who didn't know any martial arts. He had already left Little One Li inside to guard the horse carriage. Otherwise, he wouldn't have used this as a trap to lure the torture chamber elder to attack him. With Little One Li's ability to protect, Yu Yang was even more at ease with her than if he were to protect her himself. Although there wouldn't be any problems, the torture chamber elder's vile actions had completely enraged the guy from another world. A man would fight with his life on the line. Winning or losing depended on his own strength. He wouldn't have any regrets even if he was beaten to death. However, to make a move against two defenseless and slender women who didn't have any fighting power, and even viciously throw his spear to kill them, was he still human? Yu Yang was completely enraged. Did he want to kill the women he was protecting? That was simply courting death. Pay with your life. Forget about becoming enemies with the Yu clan. Even if he had to become enemies with the entire Soaring Dragon continent, he would still kill this guy. Because He wasn't even fit to be a human. Chapter 102. Every beast had a weakness. The biggest difference between beasts was that warriors couldn't find a strong beast's weakness, but anyone could see a weak beast's weakness with a single glance. Strengthening-type beasts didn't seem to have any weakness on the surface. They weren't like element-type beasts that had a limit on the number of times they could attack, and they weren't like beasts that couldn't protect their master when they attacked. As for special-type beasts, most of them were lifestyle-type beasts. They were called the dregs of the dregs by the world, so they couldn't be compared. On the surface, strengthening-type beasts seemed to be the most superior because they were one with their master and could increase their master's strength. However, in the soaring dragon continent, everyone knew that strengthening-type beasts definitely had a fatal weakness. Once this fatal weakness was hit, no matter if it was the beast or the master, both would be heavily injured. When fighting against a warrior with a strengthening-type beast, there was only one thing to do, and that was to find the weakness and attack it fiercely. Even if Yu Yang was like this now. Originally, Yu Yang didn't know much about strengthening-type beasts, but when he went to the Sky Pavilion, the knowledgeable city Mistress Fallen Flowers had imparted some knowledge about beasts to this foolish thief who didn't even know the basics. Among them, she mentioned the iron-clawed bear's weakness. With the iron-clawed bear support, the master's skin would be as tough as leather, his bones as hard as iron, and his fingers as sharp as claws. Not only was his body impervious to swords and spears, he also had extraordinary strength. However, it also had an obvious weakness, which was a white half-moon mark on its chest. As long as it was hit, both the master and the beast would suffer more serious injuries than usual. Boom! The torture chamber elder's bare claw missed its target. It smashed heavily onto the ground. Immediately, the stone pavement cracked into pieces. Crushed stones flew everywhere, and deep holes and spiderweb-like cracks appeared on the originally smooth pavement. Go to hell! The one that was hit just now was only an afterimage of Yu Yang's body. The already berserk Yu Yang's movements had already surpassed the speed that the torture chamber elder's eyes could see. His entire body spun in the air, and with the help of the spinning force, he stabbed the broken spearhead deeply into the torture chamber elder's chest. Just as the torture chamber elder's weak point was heavily injured and he was howling in pain, his fists arrived. Left hook, right hook, uppercut, straight punch, continuous violent punches, and left and right elbow sweep. In the end, Yu Yang leaped up like a cheetah and pressed his hands on the Discipline Hall elder's head. Then, he rammed his knee into the Discipline Hall elder's face, which was gradually turning into a bear, causing his teeth to shatter and fly out. Blood spurted out from the Torture Hall elder's 5 orifices, making him look extremely horrifying. The torture chamber elder, who was in so much pain that he wished he was dead, realized that his weak point had been exposed, and his beast was on the verge of death. He immediately panicked and turned around desperately, wanting to escape. However, the direction he was running towards was actually the carriage where the beautiful woman was. The 2 red-robed executioners were dumbfounded. They felt powerless against their superior. Death was at hand. Not only did he not beg for mercy or run away, he even wanted to kill the mother that he was trying to protect. Did he want to die with that person? No matter how crazy and hateful he was, he couldn't do this, right? Doing this was simply forcing the other party to kill him. Since he couldn't win in a direct fight, he went to kidnap someone else's mother and sister. Wasn't this too much? Actually, in their eyes, if the torture chamber elder didn't force him, this trash 3rd young master wouldn't have flipped out. Even if he flipped out, he wouldn't be this angry and wouldn't want to kill him no matter what. The current situation was very obvious. The 3rd young master had actually been training hard in his combat skills, but he didn't show it. He had been training secretly, and no one in the clan knew about it. After contracting a grimoire, the 3rd young master probably wanted to go home and wash away his reputation as trash. But he just had to encounter this kind of situation, so he had no choice but to explode. This was like forcing a tiger up a mountain. In order to survive, the torture chamber elder waved his claws and ran forward without a care for anything else. Stubborn fellow, I'm going to tear you into 1,000 pieces. Yu Yang realized that this fellow knew that he was going to die, but he still wanted to kill the Latin American woman at the same time. His anger could practically burn half the sky. He chased after the torture chamber elder like lightning, and his 5 fingers deeply pierced into the torture chamber elder's back. He wanted to dig out his heart and kill him instantly. However, the torture chamber elder desperately ran away in order to survive, so he actually managed to escape his attack. In an instant, he had rushed to the side of the carriage. Yu Yang was so angry that his face had become distorted, like a demon's. He quickly slid over and clamped his legs on the torture chamber elder's right leg. Like an inverted dragonfly, he lifted the torture chamber elder's body into the air. With a twist of his body, the torture chamber elder's body involuntarily flew out in a high parabola. Before he even landed on the ground, the infuriated Yu Yang had already pulled out the crescent blade from the carriage and pounced on him. "I'll let you be vicious. I'll let you go crazy. I'll let you die together with me. I'll let you die with me." Yu Yang's crescent blade slashed down heavily, and in an instant, blood and flesh flew everywhere. As soon as the torture chamber elder landed on the ground, the furious Yu Yang chopped off his 4 limbs, and then madly slashed at the almost disappeared body of the bear transformation chamber elder over 10 times. The torture chamber elder was like a dead pig under a butcher's knife, and his body parts scattered all over the ground. When the bloodied Yu Yang raised the crescent blade high up for the last time and was about to chop off the torture chamber elder's head, someone suddenly shouted from afar, "Stop! Stop! It's not too late to stop now." An old man with white hair and a ruddy complexion rode over on a giant deer. He hadn't arrived yet, but his voice had already reached them. When Yu Bing saw this person, her face was filled with joy, and her expression was incomparably excited. "Fifth Grandpa, you have to uphold justice for us. We didn't do anything wrong. It was them who forced Big Brother to act. It was them who bullied us." When the deer-riding old man arrived, he saw that the ground had turned into a slaughterhouse. The pungent smell of blood assailed his nostrils, and there were countless dead and injured. Wailing and wailing filled the entire field. He was immediately dumbstruck. Even though he was a person who had experienced countless storms, he couldn't help but be shocked. How did things get this bad? It seemed like the 4th branch was in big trouble this time. "Senaire, no matter whether this is right or wrong, you must first put down your weapon. If you kill the torture chamber elder now, no matter how right you were before, no matter how much you were bullied before, in the end, you will still be gravely mistaken. Listen to your 5th grandpa's advice. Put down your weapon, while there is still room for change. Brother Hai isn't here. The 3 elders are also in closed-door training, and Ah Shan is the substitute clanmaster now. If you go against him, using brute force won't work. Listen to your 5th grandpa. Put down your weapon first, and wait here. I will go find Brother Hai. If you have a reason, you can argue with them. 5th grandpa will always support you, but you must not kill the torture chamber elder. He might be a sacrificial pawn. You are a smart fellow. I think you should be able to understand my words." The deer-riding old man hurriedly persuaded Yu Yang. "Previously, I was an orphan and also a good-for-nothing. Everyone bullied me, and I had no one to rely on. In order to survive, I could only grit my teeth and endure. However, after 4th Mother took me in, I regained my mother, and I once again had a warm little home. At that time, I made up my mind. Whoever wants to destroy my home, whoever wants to harm my mother, even if he is the emperor, I will still kill him without hesitation." Yu Yang's gaze was as cold as ice, and he replied word by word, "Today I, this good-for-nothing 3rd brother, will use my blood to tell the world that if they want to bully me, they can, as long as their fists are bigger than mine, and they have more reason than mine. However, if they want to harm my family, no matter who they are, I will kill them without mercy." Yu Yang raised the blood-stained crescent blade, his gaze as firm as steel, and heavily chopped down. The torture chamber elder, who was originally on his last breath, had blood spurting out from his neck. That deformed human head rolled a few meters away. When the deer-riding old man saw this, he painfully closed his eyes, shook his head, and let out a long sigh. "Sanner, I know you feel wronged in your heart, but why did you do this? With this chop, it will be hard to reverse the situation. The demon like Yu Yang, who was bathed in blood, laughed out loud. If a man can't even protect his family, then what kind of man is he? Don't even talk about a torture chamber elder who deserved to die. Even if it was a powerful person, even if it was a strong martial artist, I will still behead him under my sword. If anyone wants to touch a hair on my family, they will have to do it over my dead body. Hearing her son say this, the beautiful woman was so moved that she immediately burst into tears. Even the usually stubborn Yu Bing covered her face and cried bitterly. Her tears were like broken pearls, dripping from the gaps of her fingers. When the deer-riding old man heard Yu Yang's words, he nodded repeatedly and then let out a long sigh, as if his mood was very complicated. Finally, he calmed himself down and advised, San'er, since you have decided, then fifth grandpa won't say much. I hope that you will stay here and don't leave. Wait for me to find Brother Hai, and wait for him to come back and take charge of the situation. San'er, your temperament is very similar to your father's, but if you're too firm, you will break easily. If it wasn't for him that year, San'er, I understand your feelings, but fifth grandpa's words are of little weight, and I can't help you much. You guys wait here first. Don't pay attention to anyone's provocation. Don't fall into their trap. I will immediately go and find Brother Hai. Thanks. However, what a good-for-nothing San'er need to do now is not to wait for death, but to use my strength to tell the clan not to treat our patients as cowardice. The fourth branch can't bear it anymore. I want to bring fourth mother, Bing Er and Shuang back to the Yu clan castle. Whether the Yu clan welcomes us or not, we must return and take back the dignity that belongs to us. I've already said this before, no matter who it is, if they block the way, they are enemies, they will die. Let's see who dares to stop me from bringing fourth mother home. Yu Yang roared. The Yu clan guards who were watching from afar were terrified and ran away in all directions. How can you all go up to the Yu clan castle like this? San'er, do you know that there are some people in the clan who want you to do this? The deer-riding old man tried to persuade him. Even if it's a mountain of knives or a sea of fire, I will still go up. My fourth mother is kind and tolerant, but as her son, I can't just watch others bully her without doing anything. Back then, there was fourth mother, there was me. Today, there is me, there will be fourth mother. Yu Yang held a blade in one hand and pulled the reins of the dead horse with the other. He pulled the blood-stained rope over his shoulder and pulled the horse carriage up step by step. Dignity couldn't be given by others. He must use his own hands and strength to win it back. Under the complicated gaze of the deer-riding old man and the trembling red-robed executioner, the blood-soaked Yu Yang pulled the horse carriage and walked past the Yu clan village, step by step, towards the Yu clan castle. Everywhere he passed, the Yu clan guards and clansmen all ran away in fear. Yu Yang looked up at the majestic Yu clan castle halfway up the mountain, then looked up at the sky. His heart was burning with hot blood. Pitiful guy, are you watching? I really hope that you can see the here. I will help you get back the dignity that you lost. Chapter 103. Yu Bing was very stubborn. She wiped her tears and got off the carriage to pull the carriage with Yu Yang. Yu Yang advised her to return to the carriage with the excuse of being on guard against sneak attacks. Yu Bing shook her head and went to the back of the carriage, pushing it with all her might. She firmly and silently expressed her desire to get through this difficult time with her brother and fight side by side. Yu Yang knew that she was stubborn, so he didn't try to persuade her and let her be. The beautiful woman wiped her tears and hugged the little girl tightly, sitting quietly in the carriage. She knew that she couldn't get off the carriage, otherwise she would implicate her children. Hence, no matter how panicked she was, she could only bite her lips and sit upright in the carriage, allowing her children to bring her to the Yu clan castle step by step. Although she would come back to the Yu clan castle every year, this time was the proudest and most unforgettable time in her life. With such children, she felt that she was the happiest mother in the world. The happiest person was actually the little girl Yu Shuang, who was still sleeping soundly at this moment. She was still young and didn't understand much. Yu Yang was afraid that she would be too frightened after seeing blood, so he used the sleeping fragrant flower that he bought in Green Bamboo City to make her sleep. This method was thanks to City Mistress Fallen Flowers. She knew everything about flowers and plants. The sleeping fragrant flower was something that she had casually mentioned to Yu Yang on the way to the castle in the sky. Along the way, there were people secretly peeping at them from time to time. There were even people following them from afar. Yu Yang was indifferent towards these people's appearance. On the other hand, Hui Tai Lang often bared his teeth and let out a low growl, as if warning the other party not to come close, or else he would kill them. The winding mountain road was 10 miles long. Although the road was relatively flat, and there were places to rest at intervals, it was still difficult for a normal warrior to pull a four-wheeled carriage up the mountain. Yu Bing was so tired that she was panting and sweating profusely. She rarely trained in combat skills. Plus, she didn't have a contract with strengthening-type beasts. Her physique was not much better than a normal warrior's, but she had a strong will. Even if she was exhausted, she still persisted in pushing the carriage. Even if it was just a little, she still hoped to be able to help her brother. Yu Yang did not feel too tired pulling the carriage. After several months of hard training, in addition to the improvement of his physique after practicing the innate invisible sword chi, he almost had the terrifying strength of the barbaric Cow Shadow. Yu Yang used his super strong senses and divine vision to search for information on the enemies around him. The elites of the same generation, the eldest son Yu Tian and the fourth son Yu Yin, might have already appeared. Yu Yang didn't recognize it. However, he felt that the person who had been spying on them from afar should be one of them. That figure was riding on a flaming lion. He seemed to be imitating Yin Pejun. However, whether it was his aura or demeanor, he was slightly inferior. Yu Yang guessed that that fellow might be Yu Yin. It was just that he had heard from Yu Bing that Yu Tian also had a flaming lion beast, so he wasn't too sure. That year, the Yu clan had bought 2 flaming lion beast eggs with a large sum of money. The pitiful guy had also tried a contract with them, but he didn't succeed. Instead, it was Yu Yin, who was a few days younger than him, who succeeded. Thus, the pitiful guy's tragic life began on that day. The other figures who were even stronger were probably some elders in the clan. Their strength was not inferior to the torture chamber elders. In fact, if Yu Yang had not grasped the torture chamber elder's fatal weakness and attacked him heavily, without using his innate invisible sword chi and beasts, it would have been very difficult for him to defeat the torture chamber elder so quickly. Yu Yang didn't care about anyone spying. Step by step, he pulled the four-wheeled carriage from the foot of the mountain, around the wide mountain path, all the way to the entrance of the Yu clan's castle. The Yu clan castle was huge and majestic. It was even more majestic and towering than the Iron Fist City in the 3rd floor of Tong Tian Tower that was built as a human stronghold to defend against the Demon Abyss army. On top of the 30-meter-tall mountain wall, there was a 15-meter-tall black stone wall. On top of the wall, there were arrow towers, watchtowers, guard stations, patrol passageways, and fixed sentry posts. It was a military stronghold that was easy to defend and hard to attack. If a war really broke out and the 2 armies confronted each other, even if Yu Yang didn't lead the army to fight, it would still be impossible to destroy this Yu clan castle that was armed to the teeth without 100,000 men. In front of the Yu clan castle, there were almost 10 black figures quietly waiting for Yu Yang's arrival. The drawbridge that was pulled up high and the tightly shut city gate silently reflected their intentions. It seemed that they would definitely not let Yu Yang bring the beautiful woman into the Yu clan castle. With regards to this, Yu Yang had already guessed it long ago. He even felt that a huge battle was unavoidable. The enemies had already set up a trap and were waiting for him to act rashly. Now that they had already gotten what they wanted, there was no reason for them to let him go so easily. This was also good. He could take advantage of this opportunity to explode. Senner, the Shan clan master, said that he can't control you, but he can't bear to enforce the clan's rules on you, lest the 3rd and 4th branches lose their bloodlines. He is personally going to invite your grandfather back and let him uphold justice. You just wait here. When the time comes, you can show your reason. A white-haired old man holding a green cane walked out from the crowd. His voice was as calm as water. and he looked like he wanted to keep the peace. But no one knew what his real intentions were. Is that so? Then with all the elders here, are you going to clap your hands and welcome this good-for-nothing little third brother home? Yu Yang laughed out loud when he heard this. We can temporarily not pursue the death of the torture chamber elder, but we will not allow little third brother to hurt others. Another black-clothed man who was more than 50 years old stepped out with big steps and warned Yu Yang sternly. His attitude was like the good guy and a bad guy. Don't be angry. We're all one family. We are all brothers. Maybe there really is a misunderstanding. Wait for the clan master to come back and make a decision. The green-robed man who stood out this time had a red face. Since no one is going to clap their hands and welcome this good-for-nothing little third brother home, then I can only find my own way home. Yu Yang raised the crescent blade in his hand, bent his finger, and flicked the blade. A surge of innate chi burst out of his body, shaking the crescent blade so much that it immediately gave rise to a strange fluctuation. The vibrating crescent blade let out a sweet-sounding and murderous hum, just like a monster that had drunk fresh blood and was excitedly howling. Yu Yang's attitude indicated that he wanted to barge into the Yu clan castle and fight to the end. Everyone was secretly on guard, afraid that they would become the second torture chamber elder. Everyone naturally knew what kind of strength the torture chamber elder had. This good-for-nothing third young master was able to kill him on the spot. So, of course, he was no longer the cowardly good-for-nothing of the past. Everyone was very suspicious. Could it be that Yu Qiu had secretly passed down his best battle skills to his son before he died in battle? Now, this good-for-nothing third young master should have achieved great mastery in his battle skills under his secret training. So he decided to return home to seek justice and wash away his reputation of being a good-for-nothing. Especially when they saw that Yu Yang was holding a crescent blade instead of a spear, they were even more convinced. This was because Yu Qiu, the only one in the clan who had reached level 7, Overlord, was famous for his extremely fierce and domineering sword skills, and not the traditional Yu clan spear skills. Today, although Yu Yang had broken the battle formation with his rod skills, he did not use a spear at all to kill the torture chamber elder. Instead, he used a crescent blade. This proved that he had cultivated the heaven-destroying sword slash that Yu Qiu had comprehended by himself. Little San, how dare you disobey your superiors in front of the 4 clan elders and so many other elders? The black-robed man roared furiously. I recognize all of you as my elders, but I don't recognize the crescent blade in my hand. I'll say it again, I want to return home. Those who block my way shall die. Yu Yang coldly gave his answer. Since he was in a fight, then he should make it more exciting. The enemy was indeed very cunning and sinister, but this was nothing. In the face of absolute power, all schemes and tricks were rubbish. He cannot be led by the nose by them. Now, they could fight even if they didn't want to. He had already killed 1 torture chamber elder, so killing 2 more would still be the same. He had come back to find trouble. Why should he be polite to them? Yu Yang slowly raised the crescent blade in his hand. In an instant, his whole body sank into the abyss, his breath faintly discernible. The people on the other side couldn't help but feel a chill in their hearts when they saw this. This move was the starting move of Yu Qiu's heaven-destroying sword slash, earth-splitting slash. On top of the city wall, 2 silhouettes appeared at the corner of the city wall, quietly observing the whole battle situation. There's no point in talking so much. If you want to show off your might as an elder to me, you'll have to ask the crescent blade in my hand first. Yu Yang's body was like a swallow soaring through the sky. He leapt high into the air, his arms stretched out naturally as he gracefully glided through the space of more than 10 meters. The crescent blade in his hand turned into a stream of light, like practice, like intelligence. It flashed in front of the black-clothed man at an extremely fast speed. In the blink of an eye, the cold light of death had already invaded the black-clothed man's eyebrows. He was so scared that his hair stood on end, as if his whole body had sunk into an ice cave. This was the first time in his life that he felt so close to death. Just as the black-clothed man was about to lose his life on the spot, a golden light flashed. An orange barrier expanded from the black-clothed man's back, narrowly blocking the crescent blade. It was the old man with the cane. He had summoned his silver grimoire and raised his barrier, saving the black-clothed man's life and time. Although everyone knew that this good-for-nothing third young master would suddenly attack, no one would have thought that his speed would be so fast. Missing his attack, Yu Yang lightly stepped on the ground. His agility was comparable to a dragonfly skimming the surface of the water. He bounced off the orange barrier, and with an even faster speed, he turned around and leapt towards the green-clothed man on the other side. This slash was 10 times more powerful than the previous one. Compared to the previous attack could only be considered a bait. This slash was the real fatal blow. Its first slash, earth-splitting slash, dodged quickly. The old man with the cane couldn't save him in time and hurriedly shouted towards the green-clothed man. The green-clothed man was already scared to the point that his soul almost left his body. He ordered his beast, the armored giant lizard, to jump up and use its body to block Yu Yang's slash, while he himself flew backwards at top speed. The two elders raised their barriers at the same time, intending to block Yu Yang's fatal blow for the green-clothed man. They hoped to use their barriers to block the crescent blade that would split the heaven and earth. The crescent blade flashed and disappeared. The ground was unharmed, and the beast was unharmed. Only the green-clothed man, who was escaping behind the two barriers, had a face full of terror. Seeing that he was unharmed, everyone secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Luckily, they managed to make it in time. Otherwise, this slash would have definitely taken his life. Suddenly, under everyone's gaze, the armored giant lizard with the blue tongue's tongue, which had been ordered to jump up by its master, fell to the ground with a thud. Its body, which had scales as hard as steel, was sliced into two, dying miserably on the spot. Everyone felt a chill in their hearts. It was indeed Yu Chio's heaven-destroying sword slash. This slash had killed a level 3 armored giant lizard. Looking at the green-clothed man again, everyone felt lucky for him. Luckily, he managed to escape. Otherwise, he would have been killed on the spot like the armored giant lizard. Suddenly, his eyes were filled with fear. Both of his hands were twitching, as if he wanted to cover his throat. Everyone was frightened to find that there was a red line on the green-clothed man's neck that was rapidly expanding. The green-clothed man covered his throat with all his might, as if he wanted to forcefully stop the blood from flowing out. The old man with the cane staff had already taken out the best medical stone. However, he was unable to save him in time. The green-clothed man's chest and abdomen exploded with a loud bang. His internal organs could be seen, and blood splattered everywhere. Just like the beast, the green-clothed man was sliced into two by the crescent blade. His chest and abdomen split open. Instant kill. Everyone thought that the green-clothed man had escaped, but he was also instantly killed by Yu Yang's slash. The old man with the cane staff and the others looked at Yu Yang with fear in their eyes. They were wondering how many of his father's techniques this brat had mastered to have such terrifying power. Suddenly, they saw Yu Yang meditating with his eyes closed. His body's aura was rising, and his face was faintly glowing, as if he was comprehending and breaking through to a new realm. Immediately, everyone's hearts were in turmoil. Could it be that this brat, after that slash just now, had comprehended something new? Could it be that this brat had directly comprehended and broken through during the battle? Heavens, if he broke through another level, wouldn't he become the second Yu Chio of the Yu clan? Everyone attacked together. The old man with the cane staff could no longer care about his identity. He was the first to charge forward as fast as lightning, waving his cane fiercely towards the top of Yu Yang's head. None of the people who surrounded him could understand the mocking smile on Yu Yang's lips. Yu Yang was currently smiling. That smile was like a hunter who had seen his prey fall into his trap. Not good. Quickly kill him. The black-clothed man also waved his long spear, making the long spear that looked like a poisonous dragon pierce straight towards Yu Yang's heart. Just as they were about to kill Yu Yang, one of the two figures on the city tower seemed to want to fly down to save Yu Yang. However, he was stopped by the towering black figure with a wave of his hand. No one knew what he said, but the figure who wanted to save Yu Yang stopped and nodded silently. On the city tower, the two people continued to watch quietly. At this moment, on Yu Yang's body, there was a dazzling light that was as bright as the Milky Way, shining brilliantly. It was extremely mysterious. It was shaped like a whirlpool and looked like the Milky Way stretching out its arm. Yu Yang was originally holding the cane staff as if it was a spear, but the moment the cane staff reached his body, he suddenly glared at it. His eyes were like a demon's, blood red. The aura on his body was like a mountain torrent, exploding in all directions. Together with that thunderous roar, the heavens and the earth shook. The aura of the explosion directly sent the two weakest people in the encirclement flying. Yu Yang's blood-red eyes glared angrily. His entire person was like a demon god, standing proudly and looking down on the world. He coldly faced the joint attack of his enemies. In his hands, he held the crescent blade in his left hand and Hui Jin in his right. The light from the two blades shone extremely quickly, exploding like a blazing sun. This was the true destructive first slash, earth-splitting slash. Chapter 104. When Yu Yang brandished the twin blades in his hands that were like blazing suns, the four elders with the strongest strength immediately scattered in all directions. They were all old foxes, they would always leave some leeway. Although the two people who were sent flying by Yu Yang's imposing aura became gourds rolling on the ground, their lives were not in danger. The only unlucky one was the black-clothed man. He was still foolishly rushing forward, preparing to assassinate Yu Yang. He did not know that the four elders had already escaped. He tried his best to brandish his spear towards Yu Yang, but when he saw the blazing light in front of him, he was almost blinded by it. It was impossible for him to dodge. The steel spear in his hand, upon coming into contact with the blazing light, silently shattered into iron slag. When the first sun exploded on his body, the black-clothed man already felt his body melting under the high temperature of the sun. When the second sun, which was slightly smaller but 10 times more powerful, exploded, he felt that in an instant he had been annihilated into nothingness. The two shadows on the city tower looked at Yu Yang's twin blade slash, and their expressions changed. One of the shadows shook his head, and an old and deep voice sounded. This is not the first slash, earth-splitting slash. It is only the blade intent. It is most likely a battle skill that he comprehended himself. You mean, he is the same as his father, a genius who can comprehend battle skills by himself? The other shadow asked. There could also be someone teaching him behind the scenes. The old voice said suspiciously. The situation below the stage changed again. The black-clothed man's body did not have a trace of injury, and his clothes were not messed up, but his pupils were dilated on the surface. There were no injuries, but he had already been killed in one hit. The four elders were in a slightly sorry state, and each of them had more or less wounds on their bodies. Although they were cunning enough to avoid fighting, they were still disgraced by Yu Yang's fierce blade intent, and their faces were covered in dirt. The tightly shut city gate slowly opened, and the drawbridge was lowered with a creaking sound. A scholarly man in a snow-white robe strode out from inside and walked straight to the front of Yu Yang, who had put away his blade and was meditating. His extremely mature and well-maintained face, which appeared especially gentle and refined, revealed a spring breeze-like smile. He politely nodded. Santa, it really is you. When I heard the servant's report, I couldn't believe my ears. While I was pleasantly surprised, I immediately went to inform my father, hoping that he would receive the news as soon as possible. It's been a long time since he had such a pleasant surprise. Great, third brother finally has a successor. When Yu Yang heard this, his heart couldn't help but shiver. This guy seemed to be the Yu clan's current substitute clan master, Yushan. Looking at his innocent face, he would probably push all the blame away. If she hadn't known that he was a vicious dog who ate people without spitting out the bones, if she hadn't known that he was a smiling tiger, she would have thought that he was a good person who cared about his nephew. Looking at the sincere smile on his face, even an Academy Award winner wouldn't be worthy of carrying his shoes for him, as expected of a capable minister of the country. Even when he was bad, he was different from ordinary bad guys. His politics, intelligence, and emotional quotient were all extremely high. With just one look, Yu Yang knew that this Yushan was not easy to deal with. Not only was this guy's strength extraordinary, he was also extremely patient. On the surface, he always pretended to be a modest and courteous gentleman. This was simply a different world's version of Yu Buchuan. To deal with this kind of person, if one wanted to use intelligence or tricks, it would simply be going against his strong suit. He would probably be so happy that he wouldn't be able to eat. The best way to deal with this kind of person was to use force, the most barbaric, overbearing, and direct force to beat him down, then step on his head and mercilessly laugh at him. That was the best way to deal with him. Yu Yang really wanted to slash that smiling face with his crescent blade, but he didn't do so. This was because Yushan was not only a smiling tiger, he was also a level 6 elder. A level 6 elder was the strongest human opponent that Yu Yang had met so far. Sanner, we are all a family. If the family is harmonious, everything will be prosperous. Quickly put down your weapons. If there is any misunderstanding, just explain it clearly. We are all reasonable people. There is no reason for us to not listen to your explanation. Asien, don't be afraid. As long as Big Uncle is here, I can guarantee the safety of your fourth branch. Other than persuading Yu Yang, Yushan also courteously bowed towards the beautiful woman in the horse carriage. Who would have thought that everything that had happened before was actually instigated by him? If his intelligence was a little lower, he would probably be sold by this guy and count the money for him. Yu Yang felt that if he were to open his mouth and say anything to this big evil dog Yushan, he would definitely be suppressed by his status as the substitute clan master. As a junior, he would definitely be at a disadvantage. The only way was to go all out and use brute force to break through. Weren't you pretending to care about your nephew? I will fulfill your wish. To deal with an idiot, one must use a smart person's method. On the contrary, to deal with a smart person, sometimes using a stupid method would have a miraculous effect. Yu Yang raised his heroic eyebrows arrogantly, a sneer appearing on his lips. However, he pretended to speak in an extremely sincere tone. Recently, my training has not been smooth. It is difficult for me to improve my combat skills. I wonder if I could ask Big Uncle for some pointers? He was not just saying it, but immediately accumulated his innate chi on the crescent blade. There was no need for Yushan to reply. As long as the opportunity presented itself, the crescent blade would immediately slash towards Yushan's neck. Trying to play tricks? Who's afraid of who? Yu Yang sneered in his heart. He could play tricks with this guy, and at the same time use barbaric violence. He would say one thing and do another. Let's see how long he could maintain that smiling face of his. The 4 elders and the 2 uncles who were sent flying were all dumbstruck when they heard this. They could not believe their own ears. They looked at each other, wondering if Yu Yang had gone crazy. In the Yu clan, other than the clan master, Elder Yu Hai, who was a level 6 advanced elder, the strongest were the 3 great elders and the eldest son Yushan. The 3 great elders were old and had never cared about the clan's affairs. They only focused on researching the clan's lost secret books, so they could not be counted. Hence, in the entire Yu clan, the second strongest was actually the eldest son Yushan, who was a level 6 intermediate elder. If not for his valiant strength, how could he subdue the entire clan and become the substitute clan master? Now a strange thing had happened. A super trash who could not even contract the worst beast actually dared to challenge the substitute clan master of the Yu clan. Yushan? Could it be that he thought that the title of level 6 elder was just a bluff? Or perhaps he thought that he would be able to fly just by learning a few of his father's inherited skills? Not to mention a junior like him. Even Yuchio back then would not dare to say that he could easily defeat Yushan, his big brother who had the highest innate talent in beasts. After a warrior reached level 6, no matter what kind of beast they contracted, their strength would be at least 10 times stronger than a level 5 grandmaster. Only those who had truly surpassed a level 6 elder would have the qualifications to become a peak-level warrior in the future. Only then would they be officially recognized as strong warriors by the country. In the eyes of a peak-level warrior, anyone below level 6 was just an ant. Right now, the trash third young master was just an ant. Not only did he attack a level 5 elder, he even dared to challenge the level 6 Yushan. It's all because I'm useless. I'm always busy with the country's affairs and rarely ask my nephew. San'er, if there's anything you don't understand, you can tell me. Although Yushan's face was full of smiles, Yu Yang could see a flash of killing intent in the depths of Yushan's eyes. Yushan did not hide it, because he knew that Yu Yang was also a smart person. Smart people did not need to hide too much between each other. The conversation between the two of them was only for others to hear. Right now, the two of them could not wait to kill each other. However, on the surface, one of them looked like a humble nephew, while the other looked like a generous and benevolent elder. When Yu Yang was accumulating innate chi on the crescent blade, Yushan smiled and quickly summoned a gold grimoire. He also summoned a silver-ranked beast and merged it into his body. Finally, he slowly untied the long sword at his waist and said in an unusually gentle tone, "Senna, you must be careful. Swords have no eyes. You must not overexert yourself and hurt yourself. I also advise, uncle, don't be muddle-headed. You must also be careful." Yu Yang waved the crescent blade and heavily slashed forward. This kind of slash that could tear the heavens and split the earth had instantly killed the level 4 middle-ranked man in black. However, Yushan only stretched out a hand. He smoothly received the attack. Yu Yang's eyebrows twitched again. He realized that Yushan's beast was very strange. It was not a normal strengthening-type beast, but a special-type octopus beast. Yushan's arm turned into an octopus arm, extremely soft to withstand the heavy attack. Countless suction cups grew out of his arm and absorbed all the chi from the crescent blade. On the other side, the long sword turned into thousands of sharp arrows. Streaks of sharp black shadows flew towards Yu Yang's body. Yu Yang's level 2 divine vision could see that Yushan's octopus beast could not only transform his arm into an octopus, it could also smear poison on the blade. These sword chi were extremely long. He definitely could not dodge them, because if he dodged, Fourth Mother and the little girl behind him would be stabbed to death. As expected of a cunning dog, his attacks were vicious. Second slash, heaven and earth collapse. Actually, Yu Yang did not know Yu Qiu's sword techniques. However, in order to hide the fact that he had the innate invisible sword chi, he led the enemy's suspicions to Yu Qiu's sword techniques. Of course, when he attacked, he also tried his best to imitate Yu Qiu's sword techniques. Yushan's eyes flashed viciously. Not bad, but it's still a little too inexperienced. He seemed to have a way to break Yu Yang's second slash, heaven and earth collapse. The octopus arm quickly changed shape, emitting a black light, as if it was going to attack Yu Yang secretly. Suddenly, his whole body straightened up. In less than half a second, he returned to his original courteous and modest appearance. He did not make a move again, allowing Yu Yang to slash his head with his Hui Gene magic blade. A tall figure suddenly appeared, standing between Yushan and Yu Yang. Yu Yang did not care who it was. He pretended to be unable to stop his attack and slashed fiercely. That figure did not dodge. He used his body to resist Yu Yang's Hui Gene heavy slash. When his body collided with the magic blade, a deafening rumble was heard. The result of this slash caused Yu Yang to be indescribably shocked. In the end, it was actually his own ashes that were violently bounced off, while that tall and big shadow was like a bronze cast iron King Kong. It did not move an inch, and the part of its body that was struck by the blade was also completely unharmed. Your strength is not bad. I'm feeling a little pain now. That tall figure brushed his broken breastplate with his hand without a care. Ah, Yu Yang exclaimed in his heart that was really abnormal. This kind of defense was too abnormal. When he looked carefully, he realized that the person who came was old. His hair was white, and his body was missing an arm and a leg. However, his aura was as fierce as a lion. He was tall and towering like a mountain. Just by standing in front of him, he gave off a domineering aura that even an army of thousands would not be able to pass through. Yu Yang had never seen him before, but he could tell that this person was the Yu clan's current clan master. Of course, he was also the Xia Empire's old marshal who had just retired to recuperate. He was the pitiful guy's grandfather, Yu Hai. This kind of terrifying aura was definitely formed from killing intent accumulated over a long period of time on the battlefield. No one could replicate it. With his level 2 divine vision, Yu Yang could not see through this elder Yu Hai compared to his son Yu Shan. However, just the strength that he could see through with his divine vision was enough to make Yu Yang shiver in fear. This pitiful guy's grandfather, Elder Yu Hai, had an extremely strong gold-ranked beast. It was like a strengthening type guardian beast. It fused with Elder Yu Hai's body and coexisted with its master. Yu Yang was absolutely sure that it was not a guardian beast. This was because guardian beasts would not die. Even if they were injured, they would recover quickly. On the other hand, the extremely strong gold-ranked beast on Elder Yu Hai's body was crippled. Just like its master, it had lost an arm and a leg. As for its type, Yu Yang could not see it at the moment. However, he suspected that it was the legendary Earth Bear. This Elder Yu Hai was a level 6 advanced senior elder. He had been on a battlefield for a long time. His killing intent was as sharp as a blade. He was really strong. Although Yu Shan was also a level 6 ranker, compared to Elder Yu Hai, he was like a young man compared to a strong man. The difference was not just a little, it was huge. When Yu Yang looked at Elder Yu Hai, in his heart, he faintly had the same feeling as when he met the three-headed chimera in the Ares temple. His blood was boiling, and he was itching to fight with this super strong ranker. However, he couldn't reveal his full strength, and he didn't have absolute confidence in his heart. If he did not use his innate invisible sword chi, Little One Li and the Golden Beast, he would definitely not be able to defeat this Elder Yu Hai with just Hui Tai Lang and Barbarian Cao Shadow. Even if he added the Bloody Queen, it would still be difficult. After all, Elder Yu Hai was a strong ranker who had trained for almost 100 years. His skills were really too profound. Yu Yang sighed in his heart. Although he had surpassed this Elder Yu Hai in terms of realm and had entered the innate realm earlier, the time he had spent on training was really too short. It had not even been half a year since he had crossed over to this world. If he could train for a few more months. Of course, even if they really fought, Yu Yang did not think that he would be beaten up by Elder Yu Hai. This was because Elder Yu Hai only had a profound skill. In terms of movement skills and techniques, the innate invisible sword chi was 100 times better than a Yu clan spear technique. This is all nonsense. A family fighting in front of their house. What a scandal. Elder Yu Hai's voice was like that of a powerful army. He looked down at everyone with his tall body and berated without any trace of politeness. I don't know what is going on. Before I get to the bottom of this, no one is allowed to speak. I don't have the time to listen right now. You are all Yu clan's descendants. I have always believed that Yu clan's descendants can reason with each other. Even if you don't want to reason with each other, you can still use your fists. No matter if you want to reason with each other or use your fists, you could discuss it clearly during the clan's New Year tournament. Now, go back to your rooms immediately. Don't embarrass yourself here and let others laugh at you. Yu Yang sweated profusely when he heard this. If you want to be reasonable, you can talk reason. If you don't want to talk reason, you can use your fists. Damn, what kind of bandit theory is this? Is this the Yu clan's castle, one of the 4 great clans, or is it a bandit's lair? Why is one more barbaric than the other? Yu Yang originally thought that he was already very unreasonable. He did not expect that this Elder Yu Hai was even more unreasonable than him by 100 times. Was this old fellow really a country's grand marshal? That clan's New Year tournament where they could use their fists was really something worth looking forward to. Yu Yang smiled when he thought of this. Wasn't talking about fists what he was best at. Chapter 105. Yu Shan and the others were like obedient little sheep in front of Elder Yu Hai. Nuna nodded and went back. The 5th elder, who was riding on a deer, finally arrived. He smiled at Yu Yang as if he had some deep meaning, but he didn't say anything. When the beautiful woman heard that Elder Yu Hai had arrived, She quickly carried the little girl who was still sleeping sweetly down the carriage. She kowtowed to Elder Yu Hai. This sinful daughter-in-law greets father-in-law. Saner Bing Er come and kowtow. Yu Bing looked at Yu Yang and knelt down as well. Only Yu Yang stood there calmly, his expression unchanging. He had no intention of kneeling down and kowtowing. Saner, what's wrong? You don't even want to acknowledge me as your grandfather? Elder Yu Hai's voice was like the roar of a powerful army. It had a unique magnetism. I didn't do anything wrong. I don't need to apologize. Yu Yang wasn't the pitiful guy, and he wasn't used to kowtowing to someone easily. Of course, he could respect his elders. In Yu Yang's opinion, respect from the bottom of his heart was much better than kowtowing to him. He didn't know Elder Yu Hai before, so he didn't respect him at all. He definitely wouldn't kneel to him just because of his status. Of course, this fake Yu Yang couldn't act like he was the world's #1 idiot in front of Elder Yu Hai. Instead, he tried his best to calm down his voice, pretending to be an angry junior who was bullied by others. A man can die standing, but I can't live kneeling. I didn't do anything wrong. I won't admit my guilt, and I won't beg for forgiveness. A man can die standing, but not kneel to live? Well said. Elder Yu Hai seemed a little surprised. Saner, I didn't think that you would say something like this. Looks like I really misjudged you in the past. Yu Yang was speechless. If he hadn't transmigrated and replaced the pitiful guy, he wouldn't have dared to say something like this. Asien, get up first. No matter what this matter is related to you, I will give you an explanation. In our Yu clan, it doesn't matter how the men fight to the death. However, it is normal for us to use our fists and kicks to determine who is stronger and who is stronger. However, anyone who dares to touch a woman or a child is trash. If I find out, I won't leave a single one alive. I'll behead them all in public. Asien, you can bring your children to live in peace. I'm not dead, and no one dares to make a move in front of me. Lao Wu, bring Asien's family into the castle. If anyone dares to harm Asien and her daughter, you can kill them first and then report to me. After Elder Yu Hai finished speaking, he turned around and strode away. His body was like a moving mountain. His feet, which were equipped with metal legs, caused the ground to rumble. Begin. Yu Yang had thought that Elder Yu Hai would also fight with him and scold him. He didn't expect that this old man would actually comfort Fourth Mother. This was really out of his expectations. However, this was also good. Fourth Mother and the little girl's lives were not in danger, and he could use this opportunity to show off his skills in the clan's New Year's tournament and help Fourth Mother regain her dignity. He would definitely trample all of the elite geniuses that the clan had been crazily supporting under his feet. At that time, the expressions on their faces would definitely be very interesting. A battle between the clans? Yu Yang had long wanted to find a chance to act out in the open. Forget about himself. Even Yu Bing wanted to shock the whole clan. After entering the castle, Yu Yang didn't see any fourth uncle. That fifth elder arranged for the beautiful woman to stay, then sighed slightly. Actually, this matter is quite complicated. It's not that fourth brother doesn't want to see you, but he's not here now. 3 months ago, after he bought the Spirit Beast Awakening Knowledge Pill, he was ambushed and killed by many masked assassins. His injuries weren't too serious, but he was poisoned quite deeply. He was afraid that you would be worried, so he asked us to hide it. When the beautiful woman heard this, she felt as if she had been struck by lightning. Assassination? Poisoned? The more Yu Yang listened, the more he felt that it was a conspiracy. Wasn't this too coincidental? He met with assassins right after buying the Spirit Beast Awakening Knowledge Pill. We don't specialize in detoxification. Fourth brother was poisoned by a nameless, slow-acting poison that we couldn't cure. However, it was soon time for little Joair to successfully contract a grimoire. The Heong Feng family also came to congratulate him. They were experts in poison, but they couldn't do anything about fourth brother's poison. In the end, they invited Miss Feng, who had the detoxification inherent skill. The detoxification process required both of them to hug each other naked. Then, Miss Feng's guardian beast would slowly detoxify the poison. Miss Feng was a lady from a noble family. If she didn't have a status, how could she give up her innocence to save fourth brother? Fourth brother refused no matter what. He would rather die than accept this kind of treatment. However, the poison had worsened 2 months ago, and he had been unconscious all day. We old fellows discussed it over and over again. In the end, we couldn't bear to see the white-haired man die before the black-haired man, so we sent him to Miss Feng's side. When the deer-riding elder said this, Yu Yang felt as if he was listening to a heavenly book. This was too miraculous, wasn't it? An incurable poison, yet Miss Feng was able to cure it. Furthermore, they had to hug each other naked. How was this saving someone? This was basically pushing him down in broad daylight. Yu Yang really wanted to ask himself if he had such a chance to cure the poison. He should also find a beautiful woman to push him down. He didn't even need to use his brain to think. Even if he used his toes to think, he would still know that this was a trap. At the moment, he didn't know whether Miss Feng was an accomplice, but the beautiful woman's husband, Yu Ling, was definitely schemed against by someone and became a chess piece manipulated by someone else. Maybe this fourth uncle had also realized that something was wrong, so he refused to let Miss Feng treat him no matter what. In addition to the deep love between husband and wife, he knew that if he let Miss Feng push him down, the family would be in chaos. That was why before he fainted, he had always resisted this kind of fate and would rather die than submit. "How is my husband's condition now?" the beautiful woman asked with tears streaming down her face. It is said that his condition has improved greatly, but he is still very weak. The time he is awake every day is very short. Miss Feng said that there would be no problem in curing him, but he might need another 3 to 4 months to recuperate. The deer-riding fifth elder comforted him. "I have also gone to see fourth brother. His condition has indeed improved by more than half. Since he still needs another 3 to 4 months to fully recover, why are you in such a hurry to get married?" Yu Yang didn't understand. Cough, cough, this because Miss Feng is already pregnant. If we don't get married soon, we might become the laughing stock of the world. That's why we have to choose a good day to get married. Fourth brother can't come back, and Miss Feng can't come back either. We will let the virgin boys and girls carry the rooster and hen to perform the ceremony. Right now, the most important thing is to give Miss Feng a proper status. Otherwise, the child in the womb won't wait for anyone. Once it's born, it would be hard to explain it to the world. When the deer-riding fifth elder said this, Yu Yang became a little angry again. Fourth uncle was unconscious every day. It was hard to say whose child it was. How could they be so sure that it was fourth uncle's? Could it be that because he hugged naked every day, he had to take the blame? Yu Yang felt that it would be best if there was a DNA test here that could prove that it was fourth uncle's flesh and blood. It wouldn't be too late to get married then. Otherwise, even if he married his wife, it would be a buy one, get one free wife. Who knows, he might even be cuckolded. The deer-riding fifth elder glanced at Yu Yang. Perhaps he could tell that he didn't believe him, but it wasn't convenient for him to speak in front of the beautiful woman. He waved his hands slightly, indicating that he wouldn't talk about it first. After the beautiful woman settled down, he and Yu Yang went outside to have chat. "San'er, you are a smart child, but don't meddle in your fourth uncle's matters. Now that the rice has been cooked, helping ASEAN is filial, but if you oppose your fourth uncle's marriage, you are just making trouble. Fourth brother's poison is the queen bee's poison. It needs to be vented crazily, but once it is vented, it can't be stopped anymore. In the end, he will definitely die from excessive ejaculation. Fortunately, Miss Feng was willing to sacrifice herself to save him. Otherwise, your fourth uncle would have died long ago." Yu Yang sweated profusely when he heard this. There was actually such a sinister poison in this world. However, it was still a little strange. Miss Feng wasn't a lay Feng. How could she be so noble as to sacrifice herself to save fourth uncle? The deer-riding fifth elder seemed to have seen through Yu Yang's confusion. He coughed lightly. "I heard that your fourth uncle had saved Miss Feng in the academy. Although your fourth uncle graduated early and got married and had children, Miss Feng still couldn't forget him. She was still unwilling to get married even at the age of 30. Perhaps she was waiting for your fourth uncle. Otherwise, how could there be a lady from a noble family who would sacrifice herself to save your fourth uncle? All right, I don't care about these muddle matters. Yu Yang felt a headache coming on. It turned out that this fourth uncle also had a lot of romantic debts. You're just a child. Why do you care about the adult's marriage? Just stay here for these 2 days. When a new year comes, if you are willing, you can reunite with everyone for a meal. If not, you can hide in your room and eat by yourself. I reckon that you don't see eye to eye with the first and second branches. Saner, actually, the more I look at you, the more you look like your father. Sigh, you should rest well. The deer-riding old man suddenly shook his head and sighed. Yu Yang was still full of doubts. For example, who forged the pitiful guy's divorce papers? Who poisoned his fourth uncle? How did the pitiful guy's father, Yu Chio, die? Was he still alive? Who was the pitiful guy's mother? From what everyone had vaguely shown, the pitiful guy's mother was an extremely powerful woman. She might not be any weaker than Yu Chio. But the strange thing was, why didn't anyone mention her before? It was impossible for Yu Yang to go and participate in the farce of holding 2 chickens. It was even more impossible for him to go and eat with the big evil dog Yushan and the others. If he had the time to do that, he might as well count how many strands of leg hair he had. On the other hand, the beautiful woman would bring the little girl to pay respects to the elders every day. She would also personally cook for the elders. Other than cooking for the elders, she would also bring back some delicious food for Yu Yang and Yu Bing. Yu Bing would meditate in her room every day, preparing to participate in the New Year's tournament in her best condition. She wanted to defeat Yu Tian and Yu Yan. As for Yu Yang, other than racking his brains to sneak into the Yu clan's most secret puppet palace, every day he would either eat or sleep. If not, he would accompany the little girl to the corner of the wall to count the ants and play with the sand. There had never been a single Yu clan member who had seen him train. No one could understand where this brat's combat skills had come from. Of course, they would never have thought that Yu Yang didn't need to practice his skills like a normal person, sweating profusely and wielding his sword. He could train in the space where the heavenly sword goddess was. Furthermore, training in that space was much more effective than training in the real world. Because of the stimulation from Elder Yu Hai's valiant strength, Yu Yang had also trained very seriously in his dreams. In addition to that, when he fought with the 4 great elders, he had faintly comprehended the slaughtering heart. Hence, he was about to break through the 2nd level of the innate invisible sword chi and advance to the 3rd level. His breakthrough was right in front of him, but he needed an opportunity. Yu Yang had been distressed for a whole day. What kind of opportunity did he need? Molesting an innocent woman? Peeping at a girl bathing? Stealing the Yu clan's puppet palace's treasures? Or watching that hypocrite Yu Shan's bedroom in the middle of the night? At night, Yu Yang felt that he couldn't take it anymore. If he still couldn't break through tomorrow, he would go to the Yu clan's room and put an aphrodisiac in his teacup. Then, he would bring an old sow in and wait in the tent. Then, he would set a fire outside and let thousands of guards and servants extinguish the fire. At the same time, he would watch Yushan, who was enjoying himself inhumanely. With such fantasies in his mind, Yu Yang's mood became better and he unknowingly fell asleep. In his dreams, the heavenly sword goddess, whom he hadn't seen for a long time, suddenly appeared. This moved Yu Yang so much that he burst into tears. In the end, he had already decided that she would be his first wife. She always appeared when he needed her the most. Then, what kind of opportunity would the heavenly sword goddess give him to break through? Chapter 106. According to Yu Yang's imagination, the best chance to break through would naturally be for the heavenly sword goddess to push him down. Of course, the possibility of him being pushed down was not high. Yu Yang's idea was that rather than waiting for her to push him down, he might as well take the initiative and push her down forcefully. As for the difficulty of pushing her down, it wasn't that high. It was probably only a little lower than Yu Yang killing the Demon King Xian in an instant. How much was a little? It wasn't a lot. Yu Yang's little was 99,999 times. It wasn't even 100,000 times. The heavenly sword goddess had a personality. Although Yu Yang really wanted to rush over and hug her thighs, taking advantage of her and shouting, "Wifey, here I come," at the same time, she didn't give him the chance. With a point of her jade-like finger, thousands of colorful lights instantly condensed into a person. A man. If the man that the heavenly sword goddess condensed was any other man in the world, Yu Yang would also go crazy with jealousy. However, it was this man that made him lose his temper, because the man that she condensed was himself. The heavenly sword goddess disappeared, and the Yu Yang condensed from energy flew over at an extremely fast speed. The first move he made was an innate invisible sword chi. I hate myself the most. Yu Yang was having a terrible headache right now. He was going crazy. This was because the energy clone that the heavenly sword goddess created had the same strength as him. He also knew the innate invisible sword chi, the mysterious three styles, the nature's heart, and the massacring heart. In short, whatever Yu Yang knew, he knew it too. The only difference was that this clone didn't have any thoughts. It only had the instinct to completely defeat Yu Yang. Now, Yu Yang understood why the heavenly sword goddess trained him. She hoped that he could break through the third level of the innate invisible sword chi. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to defeat the clone that had the same strength as him. "Wifey, I know you're doing this for my own good, but please give me a heads up next time. This way, my little heart won't explode from fright." Yu Yang dodged in a sorry state. Under the attack of the energy doppelganger, it was almost impossible for him to counterattack. Yu Yang quickly discovered that the clone's usage of the innate invisible sword chi and the three mysterious styles were superior to his own. Only now did Yu Yang realize how strong he really was. Only when he was attacked by an energy clone of the same strength as him did Yu Yang realize that his own ability was really too abnormal. A battle between two spiritual entities was meaningless. It was completely meaningless. Whether Yu Yang injured the doppelganger or the doppelganger hit Yu Yang, both bodies would suffer the same damage. The doppelganger's energy was connected to Yu Yang's energy. If he used up his energy, Yu Yang would also feel tired. If he beat up the doppelganger, Yu Yang would also feel a great loss of energy. In this space of consciousness, there was no real body. A battle between two spiritual entities that were connected to each other's energy was completely meaningless. The heavenly sword goddess didn't want to create a doppelganger to beat up Yu Yang, but to force him to break through. Yu Yang could break through, but the doppelganger was only a temporary condensation of energy. It didn't have any thoughts, so it would never break through. As long as Yu Yang broke through to the third level, he would be able to easily defeat the doppelganger. Oh my God, I can't live like this anymore. Yu Yang's heart was filled with hatred. When he became stronger in the future, he would catch the heavenly sword goddess and fiercely spank her little butt. This training plan of hers was too vicious. If the heavenly sword goddess could condense a beauty that looked exactly like her, then Yu Yang's mood would be much better. Just as he was fantasizing in his heart, he was careless and was caught by the doppelganger that was always focused on attacking. He pounced over, punching, kicking, kneeing, and headbutting. Although Yu Yang was only a spiritual entity in his dream and wouldn't be injured like in reality, he couldn't help but cry out when he saw the doppelganger's head flying towards him. That handsome face was only 2 centimeters away from him, because he had never seen his own face at such a distance before. Sinner, what's wrong? Hearing the beautiful woman's gentle voice, Yu Yang immediately withdrew from his dream. When he opened his eyes, he discovered that the beautiful woman was sitting on the side of the bed, looking at him. The beautiful woman asked with concern, "Sinner, what's wrong? Did you have a nightmare?" Yu Yang hurriedly shook his head. Could it be that he had to tell the beautiful woman that he had been scared awake by himself? Ah, that's not right. He had been awoken by his handsomeness. The little girl mischievously stretched out her small white hands, wanting to pinch Yu Yang's nose. The beautiful woman hurriedly pulled her hands away, but she climbed up and squeezed herself into Yu Yang's blanket, wrapping herself around him like an octopus. She said innocently, "Sanji, I also had a dream just now. There was a big sour plum tree, and it was full of delicious sour plums. Goo, help me pluck the sour plums from the tree. Leave the sour plums in your dream. Let them ripen a little before plucking them. Remember to water them more. Yu Yang's coaxing made the beautiful woman laugh. However, with the little girl's antics, Yu Yang thought of a way to deal with the doppelganger. It was just a dream anyway, and he wouldn't really die. What was there to be afraid of? He might as well ignore the doppelganger. When Yu Yang, who had made up his mind, went back to sleep and entered his dream again, he realized that the doppelganger that was condensed from energy had disappeared. He laughed happily, so the doppelganger could disappear. Then he would wait for the heavenly sword goddess to duplicate another doppelganger, and he would leave the dream. As long as he didn't hit her, she wouldn't be able to do anything to him. Ha ha! Shameless people are undefeatable. Yu Yang laughed happily. However, 3 seconds later, his complacent laughter turned into a gulping sound. This was because from the void, a flawless white jade arm stretched out. With a point, thousands of rainbow-colored lights instantly condensed and formed a person. This time, it wasn't Yu Yang's doppelganger, but a big, lowly beauty that looked 60 to 70% similar to the heavenly sword goddess. She was wearing a skin-tight warrior's attire, and her chest was bulging. A young girl's childishness and purity made Yu Yang's wolfish heart arouse as he fiercely swallowed his saliva. Looking at her petite and exquisite figure, she was pink and cute, especially her slender waist and slender legs. It made one's imagination run wild. Little girl, Uncle Guaishu is here. Yu Yang pounced forward, shamelessly using Wei Xiaobao's ultimate skill, grasping Wave Dragon Claw. Boom! The cute big lowly sent him flying with a kick. It turned out that she was the same as the previous doppelganger of Yu Yang. She had the same strength as Yu Yang, but the heavenly sword goddess had changed her appearance. From Yu Yang's wolfish appearance, she had changed into a big lowly that looked similar to her. Yu Yang didn't want to fight at first, but with such a cute big lowly in front of him, how could he face himself if he didn't tease her? As for the thought of leaving the dream, he had long thrown it out of his mind. In front of a lowly, everything else in the world was just fleeting clouds. Pain and happiness. This is life. Yu Yang was almost knocked down by the big lowly, but he still succeeded in attacking her breasts. He was so moved by the wonderful feeling of touching her breasts that tears streamed down his face. If the heavenly sword goddess was secretly watching, she would probably be speechless at Yu Yang's performance. 3 days later, Yu Yang, who had been beaten up miserably by the big lowly, finally broke through the 3rd layer of his innate invisible sword chi. However, he still couldn't take revenge. He couldn't push down the big lowly. Because the big lowly leveled up at the same time as him, her strength was still exactly the same. She beat up Yu Yang, who only cared about touching her breasts and buttocks, to the point that he couldn't even find his bearings. After being beaten up by the big lowly many times, other than breaking through to the next realm, Yu Yang also learned how to use her innate sword chi and the mysterious 3 styles. The big lowly's technique of using the innate invisible sword chi was extremely precise. Some of the angles and control techniques made Yu Yang blush with shame. From the big lowly, Yu Yang learned a lot and also comprehended many mysteries of mental cultivation that he had never thought of before. Because of his rapid improvement, Yu Yang could only release 3 innate sword chi with all his might. However, after training in the dream, he could now release 6 innate sword chi. Yu Yang reckoned that the first level would increase by 1 innate sword chi, the second level would increase by 2 innate sword chi, and the third level would increase by 3 innate sword chi, of course. This was all his blind guess. Yu Yang still couldn't figure out what was really going on. Although he could only release 6 innate sword chi, Yu Yang was still quite satisfied. Breaking through to the next realm, increasing his innate sword chi, and having a cute big lowly to train with him every day. If he still felt that this kind of beautiful life wasn't enough, he would probably be cursed by the heavens. Brother, you seem to be in a good mood? When Yu Bing saw that Yu Yang always had a wolfish smile on his face, she thought that he was thinking about torturing his opponents in the New Year's tournament. Who would have thought that his mind was actually immersed in the strange game he was playing with the big lowly in his dream? He was having so much fun that he forgot about his duties. Of course, we must work hard and defeat all of our enemies. We must take back the dignity of the fourth branch and take back our happiness. Yu Yang waved his hands like the war maniac Hitler, encouraging Yu Bing, raising the little girl's morale and fighting spirit to the skies. Yu Bing looked at her brother in admiration and nodded her head resolutely. Yes, I definitely won't let brother down. Towards the studious Yu Bing, if Yu Yang had any new understandings on his summoned beasts, or if City Mistress Fallen Flowers had told him about the beast's strengths and weaknesses, battle strategies and training techniques, he would try his best to pass them on to Yu Bing according to her receptivity and needs. Yu Bing was also very hardworking, improving abnormally fast. She was becoming more and more proficient in controlling the 100-year-old Tran defender, almost to the point where she could do it as she pleased. If it was said that Shun Tu Hao, who had many powerful beasts, was weaker than Yu Bing in terms of battle strength, then right now, Yu Bing had already far surpassed him. Yu Yang reckoned that among the younger generation that he knew, other than Yin Pejun, Feng Qisha, Shui Tanlang, the three great killing stars, and that abnormal royal swordswoman, it would probably be Yu Bing's turn to catch up. Yu Yang hadn't seen Yu Tian and Yu Yin yet, so he couldn't estimate their strength. However, he felt that even if they were to fight against the current Yu Bing, they wouldn't be able to win. Bronze-ranked level 500-year-old Tran defender, he believed that the entire Yu clan's eyes would pop out. Yu Yang didn't participate in the New Year's reunion dinner. The substitute clan master, Yu Shan, pretended to send someone to inquire, but Yu Yang rejected with the reason that he wasn't feeling well. When the servant saw that this brat was so strong that he could even kill a few tigers, yet he came up with such an excuse that even an idiot wouldn't believe, he couldn't help but blush on his behalf. He thought to himself that if he didn't know how to lie, he shouldn't have said it. This kind of excuse was really too lousy. However, Yushan seemed to have taken it seriously. He even sent someone to bring medicine to nourish his body, acting like a generous elder who cared about his nephew. The Yu clan's New Year's tournament would be held on the second day of the Lunar New Year. Yu Yang couldn't wait any longer. He rubbed his palms together, preparing to bring Yu Bing out to fight and beat people up on stage. However, when the deer-riding fifth elder came over and said something, Yu Yang started sweating profusely again. It turned out that this New Year's tournament wasn't just a simple fight between the clans. The other three clans of the four great clans would also send their representatives to watch the battle. They might not necessarily go up on stage, but they would definitely come to scout for information. Because the other three clans didn't have many people, this clan tournament couldn't be held even if they wanted to. However, those people all wanted to watch the Yu clan's fun. If it was only the four great clans that sent their representatives, then it wouldn't be a big deal. However, the Xia Empire's royal family didn't want to be left behind. They would also send their princes and princesses to watch the battle. This year, it was said that the Xia Empire's Emperor Jun Wuyu was so bored that his balls hurt, that he was also preparing to join in the fun. This news made Yu Yang a little vigilant. Could it be that Jun Wuyu, that old fellow, had discovered him? Did he suspect that he was the newly promoted innate ranker? If it wasn't for the fact that Jun Wuyu would come to the Yu clan every 3 to 4 years to join on the fun, Yu Yang would have thought of boycotting the tournament. Saner, I hope that you can work hard and help the third and fourth branch regain their dignity. However, you brat, don't go crazy. You can beat people up, but you can't kill people recklessly. Don't cause any funerals during the new year, otherwise. I won't say any more. You're a smart child, you know what to do. Fifth elder won't say any more. Go prepare yourself, and come to the plaza later. If there's anything you need, you can ask the servants to do it. I'll bring Xian and little Shuanger out first. Little baby, let your fifth elder hug you. Aya, don't pull my beard. If you pull my beard again, it'll be gone. The deer-riding fifth elder seemed to dote on this child. Even when the naughty little girl pulled his beard, he was still smiling. Prepare? Yu Yang actually wanted to prepare a few bottles of aphrodisiac and pour some into Yu Tian and Yu Yan's mouths when he beat them up. Then, he would watch them inhumanely. Brother, I'm a little nervous. Yu Bing was a little nervous. She kept wringing her hands. In the end, she couldn't help but throw herself into Yu Yang's embrace, hoping to seek her brother's comfort. "Ah, it's okay. Don't be nervous. I'm not afraid of anything. I'm not a weird uncle. No, I'm saying that they're not afraid of anything." When Yu Bing, the big lowly, threw herself into his embrace, Yu Yang immediately raised his hands up high. He comforted her a little carelessly as he muttered to himself, "I'm not a siscon. I'm not a siscon. I'm not a siscon." The more he muttered, the more flustered he became. Beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. "Thank you, brother. I feel much better now." Brother, why are you sweating?" Yu Bing had a pure heart. She never thought that her hug would have such a powerful effect. "The weather is too hot." When Yu Yang secretly wiped his sweat, the north wind was blowing outside the window. The ground was covered with white snow. Chapter 107. In the Yu clan castle, the clan's New Year's tournament had officially begun. When it was Yu Yang's turn to appear, the Yu clan had already prepared a grand opening ceremony. The Emperor Jun Wu Yu and the clan master Elder Yu Hai also gave a short speech. The representatives of the various clans also symbolically congratulated him. For a brute like Yu Yang, not to mention outsiders, even the fifth elder and the beautiful woman were afraid that he would cause trouble during the opening ceremony. Hence, they specially left him and Yu Bing to wait in the lounge. Yu Yang slept out of boredom and teased the big lowly in his dreams. When Yu Yang woke up, the first round of the preliminary round had already been fought. Yu Bing also appeared, but she didn't summon her 100-year-old Treant defender. Instead, she used the shameless tactic that Yu Yang had taught her before. She rushed over when her opponent was summoning his beast and kicked him in the face. This ambush tactic, other than interrupting the summoning, would also cause the opponent's spirit to suffer from the beast attack. Warriors with weaker abilities would immediately faint. This tactic was useless against experts with extremely fast summoning speed. Greedy ambushes were actually very dangerous. However, against newbies, this tactic was definitely effective. Hence, Yu Bing won easily. The crowd didn't scold her, but instead scolded Yu Yang for being a shameless fellow. This was because Yu Bing had never used this kind of ambush tactic in the past few years. The reason why she used it this year was definitely because her brother, who was known as the Abnormal Trash, had taught her. Yu Yang, whose new nickname was the Abnormal Trash, had caused the outsider who drew lots to fight him to forfeit because of his crazy actions a few days ago. Who would want to fight against a demon-like abnormal person? That wasn't sparring, it was courting death. The fifth elder heard from the servants that Yu Yang was still heartlessly sleeping, so he didn't send anyone to wake him up. Yu Shan and the others also agreed to let Yu Yang advance to the secondary battle. As for the secondary duel, this time's lot drawing was somewhat coincidental. The fifth grandpa, who drew lots on behalf of Xiao Chun, immediately drew little 9, Yu Feng. What would be the outcome of the battle between the super genius and the abnormal loser? Everyone was looking forward to it. Although little 9th Yu Feng was only 7 years old after the new year, his success rate in contracting beasts was astonishing. In less than half a year, it was said that he had contracted 8 strong beasts. Right now, he was one of the 4 great sects, the Southern Mountains Floating Mist sect, who was focusing on nurturing him. Yu Feng was definitely a true young Master Tian, while Yu Yang, or more accurately, the pitiful guy that Yu Yang replaced before he transmigrated, was a true trash. If it wasn't for Yu Yang crossing over and replacing the pitiful guy wouldn't be able to defeat Yu Feng even if he trained for another 10 years. When Yu Yang walked out, he discovered that the Yu clan castle's public square was extremely big. It was probably even bigger than a football field. It was densely packed with the Yu clan's clansmen. On the east side, there were some people dressed differently from the Yu clan's clansmen. They seemed to be the Feng clan, Shui clan, and Yin clan's clansmen. On the highest seat in the north, other than Elder Yu Hai, Yu Shan, Yu Ling, and other rankers, the most eye-catching person was a middle-aged man with delicate features, clear eyes, and an elegant demeanor, as if he was a weak scholar. This person was wearing a snow-white warrior's attire and a beautiful jade headband. Although he had a smile on his face, Every movement he made had a faint, imposing manner. Yu Yang guessed that this person was the Xia Empire's emperor, Jun Wuyu. On the surface, he looked like a 40-years-old noble swordsman. In reality, Jun Wuyu is already 180 years old this year. He was a famous ranker in the Xia Empire, a level 7 intermediate overlord. Sitting on his right was Elder Yuhai. Elder Yuhai was only a few years older than Jun Wuyu. However, he had been fighting for many years and his body was overused. He was now extremely old, his hair had turned white, and he looked old. Standing behind Jun Wuyu was a giant general whose entire body, including his face, was covered in golden armor. His body was like an ox, and his aura was like a tiger. This person was the commander of the royal army, Feng Kuang, who had the title of 10,000 withered bones. Sitting on Jun Wuyu's left were the representatives of the Feng and Shui clan. Both of them were about the same age as Yushan. They were probably the Feng and Shui clan's clan masters. Yu Yang was a guy from another world, so he didn't know who they were. Sitting on the other side were Yushan and a fierce-looking man dressed in red. This fierce-looking man looked similar to Yin Pejun, but he was more mature and more powerful. Yu Yang guessed that this guy was Yin Pejun's father. A few rows in front were the direct descendants of the three clans. Yu Yang realized that the Ice Cube guy, Shui Tanlang, had also come and was staring at him coldly. Yin Pejun and Feng Qisha did not come. What made Yu Yang feel relieved was that the royal swordswoman did not come. Currently, Yu Yang's biggest headache was the royal swordswoman. Luckily, his counterfeit inherent skill had leveled up. He didn't know if his leveled counterfeit inherent skill would be able to hide from the royal swordwoman. Yu Yang couldn't be sure either. He hoped that he could hide it from her. If he could hide it from her, then he would be able to tease her and make her go crazy. Good. Xiao Jiao is the best. The moment Yu Feng appeared in the arena, he, who looked like a little Shota, immediately caused a stir in the audience. Especially the women who were overflowing with motherly love. Almost everyone cheered for him. He politely bowed towards Yu Yang, who was slowly walking up the arena. However, although his words were respectful, he couldn't help but be a little arrogant. Brother Xiao San, please give me some pointers. Master and father asked Xiao Jiao to thank Brother Xiao San for giving me the spirit pill. Although he didn't say that he ate the spirit beast awakening knowledge pill better, you are publicly recognized as trash. No matter how much you eat, it would still be a waste. Yu Feng stretched out his hand and summoned his grimoire. The audience cheered. His grimoire was actually silver-ranked. This really made Yu Yang a little stunned. However, he immediately smiled. No matter how much of a genius Yu Feng was, it was impossible for him to raise his bronze grimoire to a silver grimoire with his own strength. Yu Bing, who had been in the academy for 4 years, only had a high-level bronze grimoire. On the other hand, he had just contracted a silver grimoire not long ago. How was this possible? The only reasonable explanation was that the Southern Mountains floating mist sect had found people to challenge Yu Feng every day, and then let Yu Feng use his summoned beast to defeat them, thus increasing his battle points. This kind of short-sighted method did not have any effect on cultivation. However, the Southern Mountains floating mist sect and the second branch were anxious to promote Yu Feng, this genius child, to the world. In order to let Yu Feng shine in the clan's New Year's tournament, they sent people to help Yu Feng earn battle points and increase his grimoire's level. This kind of thing was unavoidable. Every big clan did this kind of thing a lot. In the beginning, the big clans would look for warriors who were willing to fail and help their juniors gain battle points. When they had a certain level of strength, they would then let them come out to train. Having a silver grimoire from the beginning would give them a huge advantage in the beginning. The only downside was that the battle points gained were not real. When the grimoire leveled up, the Ancient Code's reward would usually be weaker or even nothing at all. Of course, Yu Yang was the only one in the world who would receive 100% Ancient Code's reward when his grimoire leveled up. All the grimoire contractors might not get anything when they leveled up their grimoire. Most of them would get a blank page or a beast that was almost useless. The god's blessing that people desired the most was to level up their beasts. As for the reward that the contractors desired the most, it was to level up their beasts. For example, leveling up from a normal ranked to a bronze ranked beast. For Yu Yang, the ancient code's guardian beast would be bestowed a skill when he leveled up. If other people got it, they would probably be so happy that they would cry for 3 days and 3 nights without being able to hold back their tears. Wow, look! Ninth Young Master's grimoire is already a silver grimoire. Genius. He really is a genius that only appears once in 100 years. Ninth Young Master, you can do it! The spectators in the arena applauded loudly. Other than cheering for Yufeng, they were also cursing at him. They often said things like, "Kill that trash. If that trash doesn't die, I won't be able to vent my anger," and so on. A few days ago, Yu Yang had killed many Yu Clan's guards and collateral disciples. The people who were cursing at him were probably the family members or friends of those people. When Yu Yang went up to the arena, he couldn't even bring Hui Tai Lang along. The reason was that uncontracted beasts couldn't be brought to the arena. Fortunately, this rule had been in place for hundreds of years. Otherwise, Yu Bing would have gone crazy again. The Yu Clan's ancestors were afraid that uncontracted beasts would go out of control easily. When brothers fought, they might accidentally kill their relatives, so they forbade it. Towards this point, Yu Yang only smiled, feeling that it didn't matter. Since he wanted to oppress others, he would do it himself. Why would he need Hui Tai Lang? Yu Yang kicked Hui Tai Lang, who wanted to follow him into the arena, off the arena. He then took out his crescent blade and yawned at Yufeng, who was full of confidence. "Xiao Jiu, you also know that Brother Xiao San is trash. I hope that you will be lenient. It's fine if you bully me, but at least give me a way out, right?" Countless people glared at him with hatred, wishing that they could shoot out rays of light from their eyes like the evil eye and instantly kill this shameless fellow. On the surface, Yufeng said that he didn't dare, but he was very calm in his heart. Because of his protective shield, he wasn't afraid of the crescent blade in Yu Yang's hand at all. He pressed his small hand on the silver grimoire and concentrated on summoning for a long time. He summoned a bronze-ranked level 3 golden striped war tiger puppet beast. Although he was a genius child, his training time was still too short. To Yufeng, summoning a bronze-ranked level 3 golden striped war tiger was already the limit of his limits. Yufeng's entire body seemed to have been sucked dry. His whole body was drenched in sweat as he held onto the floating silver grimoire and gasped for breath. The excessive summoning had made him exhausted. Below the arena, thunderous applause resounded. Being able to summon a bronze-ranked level 3 golden-striped war tiger puppet beast at the age of 7 was really an amazing feat. At first, it could still struggle to get up, but it walked unsteadily like a drunkard. Bronze-ranked level 3 golden-striped battle beast. So powerful, it scared me to death. Yu Yang shouted exaggeratedly, kicking the swaying battle tiger puppet to the ground. The golden-striped battle tiger's huge body fell to the ground with a loud bang. It fell head first onto the ground, and a muffled explosion sound came from its head. The red light in the crystal's eyes gradually weakened, and finally, it was completely extinguished. Everyone was dumbfounded, completely unable to believe it. A bronze-ranked level 3 golden-striped battle beast was finished just like that? Yu Yang held his crescent blade and walked toward Yufeng step by step. He came in front of Yufeng, whose face was full of fear after losing his protective shield, and revealed a harmless smile. "Xiao Jiu, for trash like Brother Xiao San, it's fine if you bully me casually, but if you bully me too much, I'll cry." When he said this, Yufeng immediately pouted and tears rolled down his face. Everyone stared angrily at Yu Yang, wishing that they could immediately jump onto the stage and kill this abominable trash. Yufeng's father, Yu Ling, clenched his fists tightly. The anger in his eyes was practically burning Yu Yang, who was on the stage, into ashes. Yu Bing, on the other hand, was extremely excited as she watched. She would never forget that at this time last year, the disciples of the first and second branch had teamed up to bully her brother. Those incidents were still vivid in her mind. Didn't Yu Feng also throw firecrackers at her brother? If she didn't teach him a lesson, he wouldn't know his place and wouldn't know how to respect others. So what if he found someone to grind for a silver grimoire? True strength could never rely on external forces. Only by training hard. That was the true way to climb to the peak of the rankers. Woo, this is impossible. My beast is a bronze-ranked level 3 golden-striped war tiger. How could you defeat it without using your beast? Combat skills are all rubbish. It's impossible for combat skills to defeat my golden-striped war tiger. Yu Feng was like a spoiled child who had been wronged as he cried and questioned Yu Yang. It's a bit like first slash, earth-splitting slash, but it's not. It's just sword intent. Brother Hai, your Shao San's combat skills are really not bad. He has some of his father's charm. Jun Wuyu beamed with joy as he watched. He, the emperor of the Xia kingdom, was the only emperor in the world who revered combat techniques. In the entire soaring dragon continent, many people scolded him as an idiot emperor. If he wasn't a level 7 overlord with terrifying strength, the various city lords would have long rebelled. This brat has been enduring patiently for so many years. I've also misjudged him. Elder Yu Hai nodded silently. The experts from the 4 great clans looked at Yu Yang's combat skills with a serious expression on their faces. They definitely didn't wish for a second Yu Qiu to appear. The most useless Yu clan 3rd young master in the entire soaring dragon continent had turned things around today. It seemed that he had been training his father Yu Qiu's combat skills all along, and he was quite proficient in it. Shuetan Lang frowned as he watched. He wasn't surprised at all that Yu Yang had such strength. This was because during the counterattack against the Demon Abyss, after this trash 3rd young master fought against the Demon General, he was still able to bring his group of trash companions back safe and sound. However, he felt that Yu Yang was definitely not as simple as just possessing a combat skill. It would be very difficult for a ranker who only possessed a combat skill to kill a Demon General. There were many Demon Generals that could only be killed by beasts. For example, the Death Cloud Beast Demon Generals didn't even have a physical body. No matter how good their combat skills were, it was useless. This useless 3rd young master definitely had a beast. He just didn't show it. Shuetan Lang was very excited as he watched. He was also looking forward to it. This guy, how much strength did he actually have hidden? He had to see it clearly before he could fight with him. Yu Yang didn't care what others thought of him. He came up to the stage to bully people, to help the pitiful guy and the beautiful woman regain their dignity. He was the bad guy, so he didn't stand on ceremony with Yu Feng anymore. He smiled and said, Xiaojiu, your mother is asking you to go home for dinner. With one kick, he sent Yu Feng, the genius in everyone's eyes, flying away. Yu Yang's arrogant actions completely angered the 2 beast instructors from the Floating Mist sect. They flew out, one catching Yu Feng, who was sent flying in the air, while the other fiercely pounced onto the stage, angrily scolding Yu Yang. Useless 3rd young master, how dare you? Yu Feng is our Southern Mountain Floating Mist sect's main target of nurturing. How dare you attack him so viciously? This master didn't say anything and immediately summoned his beast in the air. The beast merged with his body and turned into a werewolf with sharp claws. The claws tore the heavens and split the earth, covering the entire sky. In the end, like a heavenly wolf descending to earth, it directly pounced on Yu Yang's head. Second slash, heaven and earth collapse. Yu Yang first threw his crescent blade towards his opponent in a spiral. When the werewolf grandmaster slapped the crescent blade away, Yu Yang took out the Hui Jin magic blade from his waist. Condensing his innate qi at an extremely fast speed, a dark golden sun appeared in his hand and exploded it on the werewolf grandmaster's chest. The werewolf grandmaster's sharp claws were dangerously close to touching Yu Yang's head. However, he would never have the chance to advance even an inch further. He let out an earth-shattering howl of pain. Blood spurted out from his mouth as he was thrown backwards. After all, he was a level 5 Grandmaster ranker. The moment the werewolf Grandmaster fell to the ground, he immediately jumped up, preparing to temporarily avoid Yu Yang's attack, and wait for his companion's support. However, he was too naive. In the sky, a foot stomped heavily on his spine, forcing his entire body back onto the stone surface of the arena. Yu Yang arrogantly stepped on the werewolf grandmaster's head and looked down. His gaze was like that of a death god. Southern Mountains floating mist sect? You scare me to death. You clearly know that I'm trash, and I'm especially timid. If you scare me like this, won't I be scared to death by you? You Bing, look, a level 5 Grandmaster. Oh my god, a level 5 Grandmaster. A level 5 Grandmaster. You actually dare to ambush me, a trash, in front of everyone's eyes. Do you want to kill me? Chapter 108. Sanner, don't kill him. Fifth Elder hurriedly shouted when he saw Yu Yang raise his Hui Jin magic blade high up. I'm sorry, Fifth Elder. I was slapped by second uncle when I was young. Ever since then, my ears have not been working well. I can't hear what you're saying. Yu Yang used his feet to step on the werewolf grandmaster's head, inch by inch, until his entire head was pressed against the stone floor of the arena. The other grandmaster saw this and shivered in fear. He hurriedly carried Yu Feng and left, in case he was also unlucky. Although that old man with the strength of a level 6 elder was the one who was authorized to teach Yu Feng in the Floating Mist sect, his actions were out of Yu Yang's expectations when he saw his disciple getting beaten up. His expression didn't change at all as he sat still, maintaining a calm and unperturbed appearance. As for the humiliation of the werewolf grandmaster being stepped on by Yu Yang, he turned a blind eye to it. Yu Ling hurriedly stood up with a nervous expression on his face. However, seeing that his son Yu Feng had only fainted and was not in any life-threatening danger, he secretly heaved a sigh of relief. He looked at his father, then looked at the Daxia Emperor, Jun Wuyu. Seeing that they had no intention of stopping Yu Yang, he hurriedly sat down and did not help the werewolf grandmaster. The werewolf grandmaster was out of luck, isolated and helpless. Both of his claws sunk deeply into the stone floor. He wanted to borrow the momentum to erupt with strength and use his strength to shake off Yu Yang's heavy foot that was above his head. Right now, he no longer hoped to defeat this abnormal trash. He only wished to get rid of this humiliation. Under the watchful eyes of Jun Wuyu and the representatives of the 4 great clans, as the great instructor of one of the 4 great sects, his head had been stepped on by a junior, and he was unable to move. This was the greatest humiliation of his life. If it was possible, he wanted to kill this brat immediately. However, he could not even struggle free now. With his head being stepped on, the werewolf grandmaster's claws dug deeply into the stone floor. He angrily supported his body, his spine strong and his bones cracking. However, he could not struggle free at all. Yu Yang's leg was as heavy as a mountain pressing down on him. When the ordinary warriors saw this, they could not help but be overwhelmed with shock. They thought that this trash was really abnormal. No wonder he could kill his way up to the Yu clan castle while holding a blade. As for the stronger rankers, they were thinking about Yu Yang's second slash, heaven and earth collapse. Although it wasn't like Yu Chio's sword and blade battle technique, it was filled with blade intent. Could it be that this brat had improved his father's battle technique? Or was it because he hadn't learned his father's level of attainment, so his moves were a little different? No one could understand what was going on, and they all hoped to have a chance to see it clearly. Therefore, no one stepped forward to stop Yu Yang's arrogant provocation. Seeing the werewolf grandmaster struggling with all his might, Yu Yang let out a cold laugh and relaxed his foot. The werewolf grandmaster was delighted after feeling the weight on his head lighten. Could it be that this brat was tired? It was time for him to strike back. The werewolf grandmaster had just raised his head a little when he felt another huge force coming at him. With a bang, his head was once again trampled back down by Yu Yang. Only now did the werewolf grandmaster understand that this brat was purposely teasing him in front of everyone, making him suffer even more humiliation. He was a dignified level 5 grandmaster. Could it be that he had to beg for mercy in front of everyone? Thinking of this, the werewolf grandmaster's eyes were filled with tears of humiliation. He couldn't. He was the Floating Mist sect's grandmaster instructor. He could lose face, But he couldn't lose the face of the Floating Mist sect, one of the four great sects. Would he really be killed by this brat like this? No, he still had a beast. Why not risk it? The werewolf grandmaster was unwilling to give up. He was about to summon another beast to salvage the situation when he suddenly heard Yushan's loud and clear voice. "Saner nephew, you must not be rude to the Floating Mist sect's esteemed guest. The Floating Mist sect is one of the four great sects. They have countless seniors and experts. They are worthy of our respect. Furthermore, Xiao Jiao is a disciple of the Floating Mist sect. If you hurt his grandmaster instructor, I'm afraid that it would affect Xiao Jiao's future. Saner nephew, listen to your uncle's advice. Quickly release the grandmaster." The werewolf grandmaster cursed in his heart. You clearly know that he has a huge grudge against Yufeng for being treated unfairly, yet you still say this. Aren't you reminding him to kill me? Since uncle has given the order to kill this swindler who hindered Xiao Jiao's future, your nephew will accept the order. Yu Yang slashed his demon blade on the werewolf grandmaster's back, causing blood to splatter. The werewolf grandmaster was initially scared out of his wits, but after a moment of pain, he realized that although his external injuries were serious, they were not life-threatening. He immediately understood that this brat was not easy to deal with. He didn't have the intention to kill him. It seemed like he wanted to use him to take revenge on his uncle Yushan. No. Saner misunderstood. What I meant was for you to release the grandmaster as soon as possible. Yushan persuaded Yu Yang with incomparable sincerity. Yes, uncle, please be at ease. Your nephew will definitely act according to your orders and humiliate this swindler who has no strength and is only pretending to be strong. Since uncle wants me to seek justice for Xiao Jiao, your nephew will naturally obey your orders. Yu Yang raised his demon blade and slashed wildly. He slashed until blood splattered everywhere. However, none of the slashes were fatal. Everyone was sweating profusely when they saw this. It seemed that this little lunatic had decided to go against his uncle Yushan. It seemed that this lunatic was prepared to wash away his name of trash in front of the entire Yu clan and take back everything that he had lost. With regards to Yu Yang's actions, many people from other clans were secretly happy. There were too many geniuses in the Yu clan, and they were flourishing. If they did not kill each other and fight amongst themselves, it would not be impossible for them to become the number one of the four great clans. Now that the Yu clan's third young master and the Yu clan were fighting fiercely, it would be the best news for the other clans. If this Yu clan's third young master was like his father Yu Qiu, dying early in battle or being eliminated in the Yu clan's internal strife, that would be the best outcome. Saner, it seems like you have misunderstood my intentions. Yushan pretended to be incomparably pained. With that kind of acting, an Oscar-winning actor would not even have the qualifications to carry his shoes for him. Don't speak anymore. The more you plead for me, the more miserable I will be slashed by him. The werewolf grandmaster was extremely angry. The werewolf grandmaster had a stomach full of anger, but could not say anything. He thought to himself, if you really wanted to save me, why didn't you go up the stage and punch this brat away? Of course, before the Xia Emperor Junwu Yu and Elder Yu Hai said anything, he did not dare to speak ill of Yushan or the Yu clan. No matter what, he was the one who violated the rules of the battle by going up to the stage to protect his own. That was why he was beaten up by this abnormal trash. Forget about Junwu Yu and Elder Yu Hai. Even a normal warrior would feel that this werewolf grandmaster was asking for a beating. It's not that you can't protect your own, but you should also consider your own strength, right? Xiao Jiao's master and father did not even make a move. Why did you, a beast grandmaster, rush up to the stage? It was fine if you rushed up to stop the fight, but you even dared to launch a sneak attack in front of countless rankers? This little lunatic had just killed his way up to the Yu clan castle a few days ago, and no one could stop him. If it wasn't for Elder Yu Hai, the clan master, personally intervening and temporarily suppressing the situation, blood would have flowed like a river by now. For a little lunatic like him to beat up an opponent who broke the rules because he was protecting his own, would he even discuss it with everyone? In other words, he was courting his own death. Quickly stop. Center. Listen to everyone's advice. In the arena, you can only stop when you're done. You can't accidentally kill someone. You've already won. You should quickly come down and let Yu Bing go up to fight. The fifth elder knew that Yu Yang was provoking Yu Shan and Yu Ling, but they were all foxes. They would definitely not be fooled. If they continued to cause trouble, there would be no way to clean up the mess. That's right, that's right. Nephew, don't be rude in front of the emperor and the clan master. Yu Feng's father, Yu Ling, also stood up, acting as the good guy. I can't hear anything. What are you guys talking about? Yu Yang used his feet to step on the werewolf grandmaster's back fiercely, as if he was stepping on a toad with a bulging belly. Ah Xian, he still listens to you. Help me persuade him, no matter what, quickly make him come down. The fifth elder turned around and begged the beautiful woman. Sanner, come down. Originally, the beautiful woman wouldn't care about Yu Yang's matters, but she couldn't reject the elder's request. Yes, my fourth mother's voice is still louder. I can hear everything clearly when she says it. Yu Yang released a foot that was stepping on the werewolf grandmaster's head and pulled him up. He used his hands to tidy up the werewolf grandmaster's tattered clothes and said seriously, Grandmaster, please spare the life of a trash like me. You are a level 5 ranker and the floating Miss Sex Grandmaster, while I am just a trash that can be bullied by anyone. Other than my fourth mother who loves me, no one else loves me. Please be merciful and spare my life. For example, I would never dare to ask for medical fees from you for injuring me, cutting my back with a knife, or stepping on my head with your feet. Who asked me to be a trash? Look at me now covered in blood and my clothes are in tatters. How pitiful. Can you spare my life and let me go down the stage to reunite with my family? The werewolf grandmaster didn't cry, but he knew that the expression on his face would definitely be uglier than crying. If he could, he would rather bang his head against the wall and die. However, his little life was still in the hands of this lunatic. He couldn't do anything about it. Even if he wanted to commit suicide, he would have to wait for Yu Yang to finish speaking. The werewolf grandmaster only wished that he could faint, but he just couldn't. Yu Yang let go of the werewolf grandmaster's collar and cupped his hands. Thank you, grandmaster, for sparing the life of a trash like me. I just knew that a bloody grandmaster like you, oh no, a majestic grandmaster like you, would definitely not bother with a weakling like me. Thank you, grandmaster. This junior will respectfully send grandmaster off the stage. He kicked the werewolf grandmaster and sent him flying more than 10 meters away. He hummed the song, sending you off 1,000 miles away, and ran in front of the beautiful woman like a wisp of smoke. He pretended to be an obedient child and bowed respectfully. Fourth mother, I have returned. Fortunately, everyone pleaded for me, and the grandmaster was merciful and spared my life. That was why I was able to return. I was wrong. I won't dare to not listen to you in the future. You silly child. The beautiful woman obviously understood that Yu Yang said this to elevate himself in front of everyone. She was instantly moved to tears. Everyone looked at this brat's strange behavior and didn't know what to say. If one said that he was crazy to provoke others in public, he was incomparably rational. No matter if it was his scheming or his words, he didn't show any signs of killing. If one said that he was rational, he overestimated himself and made everyone his enemy. He even dared to provoke one of the 4 great sects, the Floating Mist sect. If one said that he betrayed the whole family and challenged the elders, he was incomparably filial to fourth mother. Furthermore, everything he had done was to raise his fourth mother status. This little lunatic was full of contradictions. Insanity and rationality coexisted. Disobedience and filial piety coexisted. This kind of brat was really a strange person. Brother Hai, your family's third son is not bad. He's interesting, much more interesting than his stubborn father. If I could have such a filial son, that would be great. Jun Wuyu laughed out loud and patted Elder Yu Hai's shoulder. Isn't Princess Sisai very filial? Elder Yu Hai smiled faintly. He looked at Yu Yang with a strange gaze. Maybe he thought of his son Yu Qiu, who he was most proud of. His expression became a little gloomy. Jun Wuyu's expression suddenly changed. It was as gloomy as Elder Yu Hai's, It's a pity that that girl is not a man. What a pity. Yeah, what a pity. The pity that Elder Yu Hai said was not known if he was referring to Princess Sisai or his son Yu Chio, who had already died in battle. Yu Tian, Yu Yin, and the others stared at Yu Yang from afar. Although Yu Yang's combat skills were eye-catching, they were still confident that they could defeat Yu Yang. Some beasts that specialized in combat skills would cause people who only specialized in combat skills to die miserably. Both of them had this type of beast. Furthermore, they were not like Yu Feng, who could only summon one beast. They had trained for many years. Other than the three great killing stars, Yu Tian and Yu Yin did not think that anyone else could be their opponent. Trash little San? Even if he had a whole body of combat skills, wouldn't he be tired? Just based on his summoning grimoire that had not even been contracted for half a year and did not even have a beast, how could he be their opponent? As early as 3 days ago, after obtaining those items, this good-for-nothing mistress was destined to fail. They had allowed him to be arrogant just now so that they could defeat him later on to gain more glory. The higher they beat him up now, the harder he would fall down later on. Towards Yu Tian and Yu Yan's hatred, Yu Yang smiled very brightly. He believed that since these two were so confident and fearless, they definitely had a way to counter his combat skills. However, it was a pity that they did not know that his combat skills were innate skills, so they could not use any beasts. Forget about innate skills. Yu Yang was also looking forward to the moment he released the barbarian cow shadow during the battle. He wanted to see what kind of expressions they would have when he summoned the Bloody Queen and killed all of their strong beasts. He wanted to see what kind of expressions they would have when they returned to their original state. The main reason why Yu Yang did not fight to the death with Yushan in front of the Yu clan castle was because he was afraid of scaring Yu Tian and Yu Yin away. They had been arrogant for too long. Yu Yang had decided to remove them from the list of the younger generation's top rankers, leaving them with nothing. That was why he had endured until the clan's New Year's tournament. In the tournament, he had bullied them in broad daylight, leaving everyone speechless. They could only watch helplessly as they returned to their mediocrity, wanting to cry, but having no tears. Brother, it's my turn now. I will definitely use what you have taught me and ruthlessly defeat them. Yu Bing clenched her fists. Helping her brother make a name for himself in the clan was her biggest wish. No matter who her opponent was, she would not be courteous. She wanted to give the most satisfying victory to her brother as a New Year's gift to him. I know that my sister is the best. Even if there are people who look down on you, they can't change this fact. You will go and show them what a true genius is. Go, Bing Air, make your enemies tremble in front of you. With Yu Yang's encouragement, Yu Bing's eyes immediately shot out a blazing light, her fighting spirit burning like the sun. Yes, brother, I will not let you down. Yu Bing clenched her fists and shouted. Her delicate voice soared into the sky, resounding through the clouds. Chapter 109. Yu Bing went up the stage. Since all the collateral disciples had forfeited, her opponent now was the sixth son of the first house, Yu Bao. Yu Bao was Yushan's third son, ranked behind Yu Tian and Yu Ting. However, he wasn't as famous as his big brother Yu Tian, nor did he enter the palace early like Yu Ting, becoming the princess' personal guard captain. Yu Bao had always stayed in the clan and was the one who bullied the pitiful guy the most. Yu Bao wasn't like Yu Tian and Yu Yin who schemed in secret or ridiculed others. He was usually the idiot who was in charge of fighting. Of course, Yu Bao wasn't stupid. On the contrary, he was very cunning, but he was always fearless. He didn't think that the pitiful guy would make a comeback one day. If he had to fight against the current Yu Yang, Yu Bao would definitely not dare to go up the stage. However, against Yu Bing, he was full of confidence. He was confident that he could play around with Yu Bing's Treant Warrior in the palm of his hand. Plant-type beast? That was the weakest beast. Anyone could bully it. Yu Yang realized that this Yu Bao didn't really look like his father Yushan. Although his appearance was passable, his nose was sharp and his lips were thin, his eyes were thin and his nose was hooked. He looked a little sinister and unlikable. In reality, this brat was indeed narrow-minded, vengeful, and fickle. Among all the young masters in the Yu clan, He was the most unlikable one. Seventh sister, sixth brother is slow-witted, unlike you who are a genius. I hope that you will show mercy and not let sixth brother lose too badly. Yu Bao pretended to be humble as he bowed. I promise third brother that no matter who it is, I will fight with all my might. I will definitely not show mercy. Yu Bing snorted coldly. She didn't fall for his hypocrisy at all, her determination unwavering. Do you really think that you can win against me? Yu Bao laughed out loud when he heard this. Suddenly, his face darkened and his smile disappeared. Don't be so shameless. Do you think that a plant-type rotten treant can fight against me? What a joke. Yu Bing ignored him and closed her eyes to meditate. She wanted to use her best condition to thoroughly defeat this extremely annoying Brother Six. As long as he used the method that his brother had taught him, he would definitely make the entire clan's eyeballs drop to the ground. While he reported his cultivation results to his brother, he would also give his mother the biggest surprise. Among the clansmen, no one thought highly of Yu Bing. She was indeed a genius, but plant-type beasts were too weak. As long as Yu Bao summoned a steel puppet, he would be able to fight against her treant warrior. If she summoned another fire-type beast, then the treant warrior would be doomed to lose. Yu Bao's guardian beast, the fire fox, had already reached bronze-ranked level 3. It was the clan's most famous pyromaniac. Beasts naturally countered each other, so the chances of Yu Bing's treant warrior winning was extremely slim. Not to mention others, even the fifth grandpa, who was partial to the fourth branch, was not very optimistic about Yu Bing. This is what I'm returning to you on behalf of Lin Li. Seeing that Yu Bing was meditating with her eyes closed, Yu Bao quickly summoned his silver grimoire. With the point of his finger, a slender red shadow with a huge flaming tail quickly pounced towards Yu Bing, preparing to launch a surprise attack to interrupt Yu Bing's meditation and cause her to lose consciousness. Previously, in the first round of the competition, Yu Bing had used a surprise attack to knock the collateral disciple, Lin Li, unconscious with one kick. Now, Yu Bao obviously wanted to secretly learn it for his own use, so that he could take his revenge on Yu Bing. Yu Bing's eyes were still closed as she lightly pressed her jade-like hands forward. She summoned her high-ranked bronze grimoire at the right time. The shield expanded and rose, sending the red shadow flying into the air. Seeing that his surprise attack had failed, Yu Bao ordered his firefox to flick its tail in the air and spit out a ball of flame. He understood Yu Bing's fighting style very well. In the next moment, the treant warrior would definitely be summoned, and this ball of flame would coincidentally burn the green leaves and branches on top of the treant warrior's head. What happened next was simple. He only needed to use his extremely fast firefox to circle around the arena and wait for the treant warrior to be burned to death. If he felt that it wasn't burning fiercely enough, he could add more fire. Yu Bao thought for a while, and a sinister smile appeared on his lips. Boom! Suddenly, a deafening sound rang out in the arena. Everyone present was shocked. What happened? A gigantic shadow was soaring into the sky. Its open arms almost covered the entire sky. The firefox was still swinging its tail complacently, spitting out flames downwards. On top of its head, a gigantic palm slammed down. Just like a bullet, the firefox smashed heavily onto the stone floor, sinking deep into the stone floor and making a loud rumbling sound. The gigantic green shadow descended like a mountain. Its two legs just happened to step on the head of the firefox that was about to leap out, forcefully pushing it back into the stone floor. At this moment, everyone finally saw it. It was a gigantic treant that was 6 meters tall. Its arms were thick tree trunks, and its gigantic tree palms were like the canopy of a king's chariot. The body of the black tree trunk was as hard as iron. The tree tendons on it bulged and were filled with explosive power. The roots at the joints were like thorns, and the green eyes and the huge tree face were burning with a human-like anger. Ah, what is this thing? Most of the people present didn't know what kind of beast it was. It looked a little like a treant warrior, but wasn't it a little too huge? It's 100 years treant defender. Some of the warriors who knew it were even more shocked after recognizing it. Bronze ranked, level 5. Even the real rankers present such as Junwoo Yu and Elder Yu Hai, couldn't help but be shocked. Yu Shan, Yu Ling, and the other representatives from the three great clans all stood up in shock. They stared at this bronze-ranked level 500 years Treant defender, their faces filled with disbelief. They all knew how difficult it was for plant-type beasts to level up. Plant-type beasts had the slowest growth rate in the world, and they were also the weakest in the early stages. Their slow growth rate had become the fatal weakness of plant-type beasts. Between the same level, there were almost no beast-type or bird-type beasts that would be at a disadvantage against plant-type beasts. Previously, Yu Bing, who had cultivated her Treant warrior to bronze-ranked level 3, was already seen as a genius. It was extremely difficult for plant-type beasts to level up. Of course, after leveling up, their battle power would also far surpass beast-type and bird-type beasts of the same level. Yu Bing was already very impressive for leveling up her Treant warrior to bronze-ranked level 3. Now that she had leveled it up to bronze-ranked level 5, it was an unimaginable improvement. Furthermore, she had even turned her Treant warrior into 100 years Treant defender, officially advancing toward 1,000 years Treant general and a 10,000 years ancient tree king. Its future was limitless. This little girl, how did she do it? It's impossible. It's impossible. Her Treant was still a bronze-ranked level 3 Treant warrior a month ago. How could it have leveled up twice in a month and become 100 years Treant defender? This is impossible. Yu Yin stood up and shouted excitedly. He couldn't believe the truth in front of his eyes at all. Yu Tian didn't say anything, but his expression was extremely ugly. Yu Bing had always been fighting alone. She didn't have the support of her family, nor did she have the help of her friends. She was even frequently framed and destroyed. It was already a miracle that her Treant warrior could level up to bronze-ranked level 3. How could her Treant warrior become a bronze-ranked level 500 years Treant defender in such a short period of time? Could it be that abnormal trash had helped her? Yu Tian turned his gaze towards Yu Yang. Towards his probing gaze, Yu Yang pretended not to see it. He used his pinky to pick his ear and leisurely blew on it. He had an expression of "please don't be such an idiot" on his face. Yu Tian snorted angrily and retracted his gaze. He then looked towards Yu Bing's 100 years Treant defender and quickly thought of a way to deal with Yu Bing. "Sister, you're too awesome. That's great." The little girl was a person who wasn't afraid of anything. When she saw the huge 100 years Treant defender, she wasn't afraid at all. Instead, she clapped her hands and cheered. "This child, Bing Er, why didn't she tell me about this?" The beautiful woman was extremely moved. Not only did her son live up to her expectations, even her daughter lived up to her expectations. The two siblings had always been looked down upon by the people in the clan. Many people had secretly killed them. Today, they could finally hold their heads up high in front of the entire clan. They lived up to their expectations. Her own child didn't have good conditions, but the two of them were sensible since they were young. Furthermore, they were so motivated. That was why they could reach where they were today. Seeing that the two siblings had improved so much, even if she died, she would be able to rest in peace. Unknowingly, the beautiful woman's face was already covered in tears. However, it was definitely not because she was crying, but because she couldn't suppress her laughter. She was crying tears of joy. This is nothing. No matter how tall the Treant is, it's still trash. Yu Bao's face was distorted in anger. He controlled the fire fox to use its ability to drill into the ground. Although it was under the stone, the fire fox was still able to escape smoothly from the Treant's feet. It followed the ground of the stage and escaped outwards. Boom! The 100 years Treant defender raised its huge arm and smashed its fist on the stage, causing the fire fox, who was under the stone slabs of the stage, to become dizzy and disoriented. A tree thorn protruded from the ground and broke through the stone slabs. It pierced the fire fox's body high up, causing it to hang in the air. If the fire fox wasn't Yu Bao's guardian beast, it would definitely be dead. Yu Bing controlled the 100 years Treant defender with her mind. The 100 years Treant defender used its huge arm to grab the fire fox's long tail and lifted it up high. It ruthlessly smashed the stone slabs of the stage. The firefox didn't even have the time to scream before it turned into a ray of golden light and returned to the grimoire. Don't think that you could defeat me with just this. Dream on. Yu Bao had already summoned a mammoth war elephant that was 4 meters tall. It was extremely heavy. Although it wasn't a bronze-ranked beast, it was still a level 5 beast. He was prepared to use this huge meat shield to fight against the 100 Years Tran defender. Then, he would use his secret weapon, the sawtoothed wool puppet that was specially used against Trants. It was the nemesis of all Trants. No matter how strong a Trant was, it would collapse under its spinning saw wheel. When Yu Bing saw the mammoth war elephant and the sawtoothed wool puppet rushing towards her, she snorted coldly. This move is useless against me. She stretched her hand forward, and a bunch of thorns appeared on the ground. The thorns were still unable to bind the mammoth war elephant's huge body, but they had successfully bound one of its legs. The charging mammoth war elephant's body staggered. Although the thorns had broken, its body had also lost its balance and fell to the ground. The ground was already covered with thorns of different sizes that were around a meter long. When a mammoth war elephant fell, the thorns had pierced into its body. The mammoth war elephant howled in pain and struggled to get up. Its body was covered with broken thorns. Seeing that it was heavily injured, Yu Bao hurriedly tried to recall it back. He didn't expect the mammoth war elephant to cry out in pain and fall to the ground. This is impossible. It can't possibly die like this. My mammoth war elephant is a beast with the most tenacious vitality. How could it just fall and die? This is impossible. Yu Bao was about to go crazy. The firefox was a guardian beast, so it wouldn't really die. However, the mammoth war elephant would. Now that the recall had failed, it meant that the mammoth war elephant had completely died. It wouldn't even have the possibility of being revived in the beast hospital. It's poison. Yu Tian took a deep breath when he saw it. You're saying that Yu Bing could use her intense poison inherent skill on those thorns? Yu Yin clenched his fists tightly, trying his best to suppress the fear in his heart. It's not like that. It's the thorns. When the thorns wrapped around it, the poison had already entered the mammoth war elephant's body. Otherwise, the mammoth war elephant's skin wouldn't have been pierced by the thorns so easily, and it wouldn't have died completely. Yu Ling patted his son Yu Yan's shoulder and warned him softly, "Yin'er, if you fight against Yu Bing, you must keep your distance from her Trant. Long-range fireball attacks, that's the best choice." High-temperature flame spray. Yu Bao was using this method now. The sawtoothed wool puppet shot out a fire dragon as its other arm started to spin at high speed. The saw wheel on its arm had turned into a terrifyingly powerful sawing gear. As long as the Trant was set on fire, it would panic and Yu Bing would lose control of it. Then, the next attack would be the spinning gear, the most direct way of sawing the Trant in half. Among all the puppet beasts, the sawtoothed wool puppet was the Trent's nemesis. It was almost invincible. Its only weakness was that it needed to replenish its fuel and change its sawtoothed wool every time it was used. However, Yu Bao couldn't care less about this right now. He wanted to take revenge. He wanted to use the sawtoothed wool puppet to kill this Trant and then kill Yu Bing. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to appease the hatred in his heart. Yu Yang, who was below the stage, made a gesture to end the battle. When Yu Bing saw this, she understood what he meant and nodded her head. She controlled the 100-year-old Trant defender and leapt high into the air. With a rumbling sound, the Trant defender stomped on the sawtoothed wheel puppet's body, shattering it into pieces. Countless roots extended out from the 100-year-old Trant defender's body, tightly wrapping around the sawtoothed wool puppet's body. The sawtoothed wool puppet couldn't move at all. The machine inside it made a ka-ka-ka sound. The 100-year-old Trant defender stretched out its gigantic hands and grabbed the sawtoothed wheel puppet's gigantic metal head. It twisted it fiercely, twisting its entire head off. In an instant, sparks flew out from the sawtoothed wheel puppet's neck and crackled with electricity. Bang! The 100-year-old Trant smashed the metal head onto the ground, then raised its tree leg and gave it another heavy kick. The saw-toothed wool puppet was immediately destroyed. It was completely finished. Yu Bao's beasts had all died, and his protective shield had disappeared. He looked at the 100-year-old Trant defender in front of him with extreme fear. Seeing it raise its tree arm high up in the air, Yu Bao screamed in fright. His pants were drenched in sweat, his eyes rolled back, and he fainted from fright. Yu Bing didn't control the 100-year-old Trant defender to instantly kill the fainted Yu Bao. Instead, she made it stretch out its arm that was thicker than a stick, and with a flicked Yu Bao away like a fly. Brother Hai, this little girl from your family is not bad. She's proficient in thorns, tree thorns, poison, and entanglement. Whoever fights against her in the future would probably die of depression. Haha, I like this little girl. Why don't I recognize her as my daughter? No, we can't mix up our seniority. I'll recognize her as my granddaughter. The Xia Emperor Jun Wuyu laughed loudly at Elder Yu Hai. Everyone said that he was the emperor who didn't look like an emperor the most, but Jun Wuyu's position was unshakable. He had sat on the throne for more than 100 years, and currently, no one could shake his position. Bing Heir's fate isn't good. She's at a disadvantage. Elder Yu Hai was also very surprised. He didn't think that other than Yu Yang, Yu Bing could also give him such a big surprise. Elder Hai, your family's geniuses are everywhere, each stronger than the other. Our 3 families can't even compare to them. I'm really envious. The representatives of the 3 families congratulated Elder Yu Hai. It's my son's bad luck. Sigh, they were such a good couple. Feng Xiao Yun, the substitute clan master of the Feng family, looked at Yu Bing and thought of his son who was instantly killed by a Golden King beast. He couldn't help but let out a long sigh. Feng Qisha wasn't the only one who had hope for the Feng clan. There was also his own son. But who would have thought that his son would meet with such a calamity? Maybe there's something wrong with Pai Li's fate. Why don't we ask the state preceptor to calculate Yu Bing's fate again? Some families were moved. Where else could they find such a good wife like Yu Bing? If there was really a mistake when they arranged Yu Bing's fate, then if they were to marry into the Yu clan and let this little girl Yu Bing become their daughter-in-law, it would be a huge boost to their entire family. In an instant, the eyes of countless families' representatives flashed with a blazing greed. Elder Yu Hai saw this and remained silent. Yu Bing won. She didn't immediately enter the arena, but instead turned to challenge Yu Yin, 7th sister's next opponent, his 4th brother. While I still have some strength left, I'm willing to fight with 4th brother now. If Big Brother agrees, I'm willing to be in the same group as 3rd brother. We, the 4th branch, will challenge your 1st branch and 2nd branch. Big Brother, 4th brother, and 5th brother, please enter the arena together. No, we are ignorant juniors. We still need to seek guidance from our elders. Big Uncle and 2nd Uncle, please enter the arena together. When Yang said this, everyone thought that he had gone crazy. Challenging Yu Tian, Yu Yin, and Yu Ting, 3 people of the same generation as him, was fine, but he actually overestimated himself and challenged Big Uncle and 2nd Uncle. One must know that Big Uncle Yushan and 2nd Uncle Yuling were already famous rankers in the world. Yushan was a level 6 intermediate elder, while Yuling was a level 6 beginner junior elder. This brat wanted to fight against the 2 of them alone? Could it be that he already had the strength of a level 7 overlord? How could he win against 2 elder level rankers with just combat skills? This was simply wishful thinking. The spectators felt that if this brat wasn't crazy, then they were the ones who had gone crazy. When Shui Tianlang heard this, his eyes widened. He could guess that Yu Yang would challenge Yu Tian and Yu Yin, but he never thought that Yu Yang would be so daring as to challenge Big Uncle Yushan and 2nd Uncle Yuling. Could it be that this brat's guts were made of iron? He had seen crazy fellows before, but he had never seen someone as crazy as Yu Yang. Shui Tianlang suddenly had an urge to rush forward and fight with Yu Yang. He wanted to see whether this lunatic's combat skills were stronger or if his elemental beasts were stronger. Jun Wuyu and Elder Yu Hai were stunned. After a long while, they looked at each other and smiled at the same time. Alike, this brat was really too similar to his father, Yu Qiu. Yu Qiu's temper was also the same. He was fearless, But Yuchio was not as cunning and talkative as this brat. Like father, like son, when Shoer saw his son turn from trash into a proud and arrogant ranker in heaven, he would probably smile happily, right? When Elder Yuhai thought about it, his indifferent eyes, which had seen 100,000 people die in front of him, became a little wet. When he looked at Yu Yang, there was a hint of warmth in his eyes. Right now, everyone's gaze was on Yushan and Yu Ling facing their nephew's crazy challenge. As his uncles, how would they react? Should they reject him? Or should they agree? Everyone was waiting for the answer from the two of them. Chapter 110. First, Uncle Yushan still had the appearance of a modest gentleman and kind elder. With a smile on his face, he first courteously bowed to Junwoo Yu and his father, then cupped his hands in greeting to the representatives of the three great clans. Finally, he nodded to Yu Yang. San'er, I know you are eager to learn, but haste makes waste. You must guard against arrogance and rashness in your cultivation. You must not be too hasty. You should use cultivation as your foundation and understanding as your foundation. This is the right way to become a strong warrior. Seeing your heroic spirit, I am very happy in my heart. It is as if I can see third brother reappearing in front of me. Your second uncle and I will do our best to support you. We will definitely help you develop third brother's combat skills. Although it is not now, but in normal times, no matter when or where, if you have any questions, you can look for second uncle and me. We will teach you everything we know, and we will tell you everything we know. Clap, 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 clap. When everyone heard these sincere words, they couldn't help but applaud Yushan for being such a good uncle who cared about his nephew. Yu Bing was speechless, other than those who were kept in the dark, who didn't know that his heart was like a poisonous snake. Such a hypocritical appearance was really disgusting. To be a hypocrite like him, he was almost at the peak of the realm. Indeed, Yushan really wanted to accept Yu Yang's challenge. He really wanted to kill this brat Yu Yang immediately. Yushan definitely didn't want a second Yuchio to appear, especially when he found out that this brat was completely different from his father. Other than being arrogant, he was also especially scheming. Compared to the straightforward and heroic Yuchio, he was even more of a headache. If he didn't challenge him on purpose, he would have looked for an opportunity to secretly kill him. But now it was impossible. Everyone, including the Dixia Emperor and his father, had already noticed his words and actions. If he killed him, it would be useless no matter how he tried to hide it. They would all guess that he was the one who did it. The most important thing was that this brat improved very quickly. Once he contracted a grimoire, he improved by leaps and bounds. Compared to the cowardly appearance of a year ago, he was a completely different person. If he didn't kill him now, he was afraid that after a period of time, it wouldn't be easy to kill him again. In front of tens of thousands of people, under the watchful eyes of the public, how could he kill someone? Not to mention Junwoo Yu, who loved talents as much as his own life. Even his father, who had always suspected that he had harmed his third brother, would never let him off. All these years, he had been investigating the evidence. If he killed this trash, the consequences would be unthinkable. It was estimated that his second brother, who had always coveted the position of substitute patriarch, would reap the rewards. Big brother is right. Nephew San'er, we all know that you have made extraordinary progress and are eager to show it to the family. But you have only cultivated for a short period of time. If you make a mistake and make a big mistake, what should we do? My third and fourth brothers only have you as their heir. How can we attack you? On the stage, competing against each other and improving together is a rule passed down from our ancestors. It is also the foundation for our Yu clan's warriors to improve each other. If San Air wants to improve, why don't you let Tian Air, Yin Air, and Ting Air come down and compete with each other? Let's give everyone a wonderful New Year's competition. Second Uncle Yuling also did not want to be outdone. He talked nonstop, expressing his love and care for Yu Yang. Clap, clap, clap. When everyone heard this, they felt that these two uncles were the role models of the elders. They deserve to be applauded. Both of you are right. Actually, The representatives of the three great clans also agreed. Actually, they already knew that the Yu clan's internal strife was fierce, but they pretended not to know anything. The Yu clan was not the only clan that had many conflicts. In any clan, unless there was only one direct heir, even if there were two sons, there would still be conflicts. It was just that the Yu clan was better at hiding it and never said it out loud. They were not like the Yu clan, where the younger generation would compete in the arena every year. Everyone could see the conflicts clearly. If they were to really compare, the undercurrent of internal strife between brothers and other clans would be 10 times more intense than the Yu clan. There was a philosopher who said that it was not that there were no geniuses in the soaring dragon continent. It was just that almost all the geniuses had died in the internal strife. Normal people might not know this, but everyone in the clan knew this. The most outstanding one was the one that attracted the jealousy of others the most. Yu Yang had already known that his first Uncle Yu Shan and second Uncle Yu Ling, these two old foxes, would not make a move. He had only opened his mouth to provoke them on purpose, announcing the conflict between the fourth branch and the first and second branch to the world. At the same time, he would smear their good image in the outside world. Don't think that there were many people applauding. When they returned, most of those people would think that Yu Shan and Yu Ling were hypocrites. Yu Tian and Yu Yin were hesitating. Should they accept the challenge? Just facing Yu Bing, who possessed a bronze-ranked level 500-years-old Tran defender, was already a headache. Now that they had to face a lunatic who was proficient in combat skills, Yu Tian and Yu Yin did not think that the other party would sincerely cooperate and fight against the enemy together. They felt that the other party would most likely hit them when they were down and harm them. Hence, ever since Yu Bing opened her mouth to challenge them, the two of them had remained silent. Only the tall and sturdy Yu Ting, who had thick eyebrows, big eyes, and a simple and honest face, jumped onto the stage and bowed to Yu Yang and Yu Bing, third brother, seventh sister. I only have one beast, but it has 3 skills. They are Giant Bear's Palm, Rock Bear's Body, and Violent Bear's Fury. They are very strong, so you must be careful. I'm afraid that I won't be able to hold back and injure you. When this simple and honest Yu Ting spoke, Yu Yang suddenly understood. He had always felt that something was wrong. Old man Yu Hai was already old. Why wasn't he grooming the next clan master? Although Yu Tian and Yu Yin were talented and had a good reputation, their characters were not good. They were not the best candidates for the position of clan master. Yu Bao was not talented, the pitiful guy was trash, Yu Bing and Yu Xuan were both girls, and Lil Nine, Yu Feng was still young. Could it be that the Yu clan did not have any plans to groom the next clan master? The Yu clan was not an ordinary clan. They were famous for their mechanical puppets, spear techniques, military strategies, and so on. They had been famous for thousands of years. No matter how many storms they had to endure, no one could shake the Yu clan's position. Everyone thought that the Yu clan's greatest advantage was not that they had many geniuses, but that they knew how to groom the next clan master. It was said that every clan master would have a gold-ranked beast, Earth Bear, to be passed down to the next clan master. This way, they could ensure the clan master's strength, stabilize the clan's development, and also intimidate everyone. That year, Yu Qiu was famous, but Yu Hai did not choose him to be the clan master. Everyone felt that it was strange. Even Yu Yang was puzzled. Later on, in a conversation, the beautiful woman accidentally mentioned it. The Yu clan had never needed a genius to be the clan master. What they needed was a kind-hearted, simple, and unpretentious clan master who could allow his brothers and juniors to develop. In the Yu clan's clan master selection, the clan master could be strong, but he could not be alone. The clan master must be magnanimous and not kill all the brothers and sisters of the clan the moment he became the clan master, leaving only his own bloodline. The clan master of the Yu clan would have at least 12 elders supporting him. He did not need to have outstanding abilities, as long as he could lead the clan forward well, as long as he could maintain the Yu clan's honor, traditions, and traditions. Yu Yang had always been thinking, who would be the next clan master of the Yu clan? When this Yu Ting went up the stage, he used his divine vision to observe him and discovered that he was 90% sure that the next clan master that Elder Yuhai had chosen and was grooming was this fifth brother Yuting. He only contracted one beast, and it was a big bear at that. This was obviously a preparation to pass down the clan master's gold-ranked earth bear. Furthermore, Yuting had been sent to the imperial palace early on to become the princess' personal guard captain. While he was cultivating, he could also build a good relationship with the imperial family. He could also stay away from the clan's struggles and grow up healthily in a safe environment. Yu Yang was enlightened. So Yu Tian and Yu Yin were chess pieces that Elder Yu Hai had purposely released to attract people's attention. This old fox, he had already chosen Yu Ting to be the next clan master. The reason why he did not manage the clan's affairs for a few months was probably because he was secretly training Yu Ting. A strengthening type, bronze-ranked level 5 violent bear, Yu Bing was shocked by her fifth brother Yu Ting's beast. Her 100-years-old Tran defender was originally only bronze-ranked level 3. She could only level it up to bronze-ranked level 4 with her own efforts, and leveled it up to bronze-ranked level 5 because her brother gave her the Tree of Life's lustrous branch. She never thought that this fifth brother Yu Ting could also level up his beast to bronze-ranked level 5. With a flash of golden light, the shadow of a blood-red giant bear was summoned by Yu Ting and entered his body. After a roar, Yu Ting's entire body gradually changed shape, becoming bigger and stronger. His muscles tore through the leather armor on his body, revealing his bulging muscles. His skin was quickly covered with bear fur. His hands became like a bear's paws, and his eyes gradually turned blood red. Yu Ting, who had almost transformed into a bear, raised his giant palms high up and let out a low, muffled roar. A golden light emitted from his body like a halo. In the end, it condensed into his 2 legs and palms. The golden bear's paws seemed to have accumulated an inexhaustible amount of strength. When Yu Ting stamped his feet, the entire arena shook. Among the spectating warriors, those who were slightly weaker felt slightly dizzy from the low, deep vibrations. They almost fainted and fell to the ground. They couldn't help but turn pale with fright. Third brother, after I transform into a bear, my skin is especially thick. I'm not afraid of being cut. Just attack with all your strength. Don't worry about my body. After Yu Ting finished speaking, he raised his giant palms. Step by step, he walked towards Yu Yang, shaking the entire arena with rumbling sounds. Yu Bing was so scared that she couldn't help but look at her third brother, Yu Yang, anxiously, hoping that he would come up with an idea. Seventh sister, it's not enough for a ranker to only have strength. He must also have speed, a speed like the wind. After Yu Yang finished speaking, his figure had already turned into an afterimage and disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already behind Yu Ting. His fists were like hammers, bombarding the back of Yu Ting's head. Yu Ting ignored Yu Ting's attack and reached out his hands to counterattack. However, Yu Yang cleverly landed. At the same time that he dodged Yu Ting's counterattack, he spun his legs like a windmill, kicking Yu Ting's huge body back. When Yu Ting's bare paws came down again, he suddenly floated up into the air. His legs clamped onto Yu Ting's head, and with an extremely mysterious flip, Yu Ting's entire body shot out of the arena like a cannonball, crashing into the ground with a loud bang. His huge body was almost completely submerged in the soil, looking extremely pathetic. Third brother is so powerful. This is the first time I've been beaten to the point where I can't even retaliate. However, I'm not injured. Let's go again. Under the dumbfounded gaze of the crowd, Yu Ting crawled up, and with a leap, he once again jumped onto the arena. According to the rules, he had already lost. However, he seemed to be unconvinced and wanted to continue fighting with Yu Yang. Everyone was speechless. Why was it that every member of the Yu clan was more abnormal than the other? Forget about Yu Tian and Yu Yin. It was already inconceivable that Miss Yu Bing could become famous with her plant-type beast. Now, there was Yu Ting, who was not afraid of being beaten, and the most abnormal trash third young master. There weren't many normal people in this family. They were all abnormal people with terrifying strength. You're not convinced, are you? Yu Yang did not use his sword. If he were to chop this Yu Ting to death, Elder Yu Hai, who had wasted his efforts, would probably commit suicide in despair. The Yu clan would also be completely finished. Fourth mother, Yu Bing, and the others would also not be able to live a good life in the future. They would probably spend their days in guilt. However, teaching this stupid bear a lesson was not a problem at all. As fast as lightning, Yu Yang punched and kicked Yu Ting until he couldn't tell which way was north. In the end, he kicked Yu Ting violently and sent him flying out of the arena. Third brother, I only feel a little pain. I am not injured yet. Let's go again. Yu Ting was probably the same type of creature as Hui Tai Lang. They were both unkillable cockroaches. Actually, his strength was extremely terrifying, but he couldn't hit Yu Yang. Otherwise, Yu Yang's small body might not be able to withstand the giant bear's paws. In terms of speed and technique, Yu Yang had completely suppressed Yu Ting, who had boundless strength. He beat his fifth brother, Fallen Flowers, to the point where he was beaten up even more vividly than the big lowly in his dreams. He could hit him however he wanted. Me too, Shuetan Lang, the cold-faced, warm-hearted, battle-thirsty fellow, was so excited that he couldn't hold it in anymore. Although I am a guest, I have to seek justice for my sister. So, third young master, take this. A tornado was summoned by him. Heaven and earth were filled with coldness, and everyone couldn't help but shiver. When they saw Shui Tan Lang concentrating on expanding the tornado by 10 times and condensing it, everyone immediately scattered in all directions. This was not a joke. If they were hit by such a terrifying tornado, they would definitely not even have a corpse left. The entire arena was bone-chillingly cold. Countless snowflakes condensed. Even the dense demonic crescent blade in Yu Yang's hands slowly froze. When Yu Tian and Yu Yin saw this, they immediately flew down and landed on the arena, summoning their grimoire. Yu Tian said hypocritically, "Brother Tan Lang, this is a battle between us brothers, a battle between clans. Why do you have to interfere?" That's right. Brother Tan Lang, please stop and return to your seats to watch the battle." Although the two of them said so, they didn't hold back at all. They each summoned a flaming lion and a golden-winged eagle, preparing to attack Yu Yang. As for killing Yu Yang, they didn't have much hope in their hearts. Furthermore, it would be hard for them to explain themselves if they did something like that in front of everyone. However, they decided to defeat the extremely arrogant Yu Yang. They wanted to let Yu Yang know that even if he managed to turn over a new leaf, he would still be far inferior to the two of them, who had been famous for a long time. With Yu Ting as their meat shield and Shui Tan Lang as their killing star with terrifying attack power, they felt that the time to defeat Yu Yang had finally arrived. Seventh sister, what do you think of your brother who can fight against 4 people alone? Yu Yang suddenly asked. Brother is the strongest and will always be. Of course, I will also help brother. Yu Bing clenched her fists tightly, her gaze extremely resolute. She wasn't afraid of Shui Tan Lang, one of the 3 great killing stars, joining the battle. She was also very confident in her brother. Good girl, but you only need to stand here and cheer for your brother. After I win, you can loudly tell those snobs that you have the strongest brother. With your brother here, no one can bully you. Let those who look down on your brother go to hell. Yu Yang reached out and summoned his silver grimoire, summoning the barbarian cow shadow. Then, he added a giant shadow that increased her strength by 100 times. The barbarian cow shadow roared and punched the flaming lion in front of her, sending it flying. Smoke came out of its mouth and nose, and its eyes flashed with anger. The luck that Yu Yang had accumulated for a long time exploded once again. The golden-winged condor, who was trying to escape in the sky, let out a blood-curdling screech and fell to the ground dead. Jun Wuyu and Elder Yu Hai stood up at the same time. They never thought that Yu Yang, this little lunatic who specialized in battle skills, would actually have such a strong beast. Bronze-ranked, level 5 guardian beast? Didn't he just contract a grimoire? How could he level up to this level? No one helped him level up, and his grimoire was already silver-ranked. What did this little lunatic do? How could he level up so quickly? How many battles did he have to go through to level up to this level? In less than half a year, he had already completed a silver-ranked grimoire, and at the same time leveled up his guardian beast to bronze rank level 5. This was really unbelievable. This is impossible. How could you have a bronze-ranked level 5 summoned beast? You just contracted a grimoire. Yu Yin, who hated the pitiful guy the most in his life, was about to go crazy from anger. I made a mistake. I'm sorry, because I just contracted a grimoire not long ago. I'm not too familiar with summoning. How could I accidentally summon the wrong beast? I obviously wanted to summon a gold-ranked Bloody Queen. Why did I summon such a low bronze-ranked barbarian Cow Shadow? What a failure. Looks like I'm really in natural trash. I can't even figure out a summoned beast. When Yu Yang said this, Yu Yin was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Dream on. You will never be able to summon a gold-ranked beast. Yu Yin wished that he could swallow Yu Yang whole with a mouthful of blood and flesh. You saw through me. As expected of a genius, your eyes are really sharp. I don't have a gold-ranked summoned beast, but I do have a golden king beast. When Yu Yang summoned the Bloody Queen, everyone was petrified. At least 1/3 of the people immediately vomited blood and fainted on the ground. Yu Yin was one of them. This was not because they were scared, but because they were angry. They had never seen such an abnormal person in their lives. He had only contracted a grimoire for less than half a year, yet he already had a bronze-ranked level 5 guardian beast and a gold-ranked level 3 Bloody Queen. Furthermore, this Bloody Queen was a golden king beast. This was a summoned beast that warriors below the rank of Elder could only dream of. Who would have thought that this trash would have it in less than half a year? 1/3 of the people cried. Yu Tian was one of them. This trash. How could he bully others like this? It was fine that he summoned a bronze-ranked level 5 barbarian Cow Shadow to kill the golden-winged eagle in an instant. But couldn't he be more low-key and hide his strength? Couldn't he let others not be so jealous? Couldn't he be merciful and let everyone feel less inferior and less hopeless? This brat was too arrogant, too much of a bully. He deserved the wrath of the heavens. He really deserved to be struck by lightning. Another 1/3 of the people couldn't believe their eyes. Yu Ting was one of them. They were all rubbing their eyes or banging their heads on the ground. No matter what, they refused to believe that this was the truth. A small number of people like Jun Wu Yu, Elder Yu Hai, Yu Shan, Yu Ling, Feng Xiao Yun, Feng Kuang, Shuetan Lang, Fifth Elder, and the beautiful woman maintained their petrified expressions. They really didn't know what to say. The Golden King Beast Bloody Queen, a beast with intelligence, had actually contracted a grimoire for less than half a year. Would anyone believe this? Even an idiot wouldn't believe it. However, it was clearly displayed in front of their eyes. Was this really an illusion, or was it real? If it was real, where did this brat get such a strong summoned beast from? Yu Yang was very calm. Wasn't it just a barbarian Cow Shadow and the Bloody Queen? Compared to little Wan Li, who had a diamond grimoire, and the mysterious golden beast, compared to the guardian beast in his divine grimoire, this was only the tip of the iceberg of his true strength. Forget about little Wan Li. Even the future golden crowned thorny flower queen would be many times stronger than the current Bloody Queen. How could they be stunned just like this? How could they vomit blood and faint just like this? How could they cry bitterly just like this? All right, let them cry, vomit blood, and be jealous as much as they want. Chapter 111. When the Bloody Queen was summoned, she was probably still angry that Yu Yang had forcefully recalled her back into the Silver Grimoire, despite her objections. She didn't show her might like the barbarian Cow Shadow. She even wrapped her golden wings tightly around her body, refusing to show her true appearance, as if she was competing with Yu Yang. If it wasn't for the fact that all the weak beasts were so scared that they lay down on the ground and didn't dare to move, if it wasn't for the fact that normal warriors saw the golden light rippling from her perfect wings, forming a king's halo that was unique to a golden king beast, they wouldn't know that she was a golden king beast. Of course, rankers with sharp senses didn't even need to look to know how powerful this Bloody Queen was. Gold-ranked level 3 might not be very high for rankers like Jun Wu Yu and Elder Yu Hai, But she was a golden king beast after all. Once she matured, her future would be limitless. Most importantly, this bloody queen was not only a humanoid beast, she was also a beast with intelligence. What did this mean? It meant that she still had the possibility to level up. Maybe she could level up to platinum ranked, or even the legendary diamond ranked. If the person who summoned her was a famous sect leader or overlord, Yushan and Yuling wouldn't be so jealous. However, the person who summoned her was a trash who didn't even have a grimoire half a year ago. He didn't even manage to contract a beast before. Yushan and Yuling were so jealous that they felt like they were about to vomit blood. Unfortunately, they couldn't kill him in front of Jun Wuyu and their father. With Jun Wuyu's love for talent, this abnormal trash must have already caught his eye. If they wanted to kill him in front of Jun Wuyu, their good days would be over. That year, when Yu Qiu died in battle, Jun Wuyu was furious. Other than killing more than 10 generals who couldn't save him in time, Jun Wuyu even personally led a counterattack against the Demon Abyss, killing hundreds of demon generals to accompany Yu Qiu in death. If it wasn't for the fact that Yu Qiu's corpse was not found, the whole thing became a mystery and gave Jun Wuyu a glimmer of hope. He would probably have killed even more people. Although Jun Wuyu was usually generous and kind to his subjects, and was known as the Smiling Monarch, it did not mean that he would not kill. In reality, Yushan and Yuling both knew that Jun Wuyu was the emperor of the 3 great kingdoms, or rather, the emperor and king of the entire soaring dragon continent, who had killed the most people. Don't be angry. Show me the demeanor of a queen and beat them up for me. When you're done, I'll take you out to buy candied haws. Yu Yang kept the silver grimoire in his hands and waited for the shield to disappear. He then walked to the bloody queen's side and caressed her wings, coaxing the little girl at the same time. Everyone was sweating profusely. It would be a miracle if this female fishy queen liked candied haws. The bloody woman stretched out a jade-like hand from under her wings and spoke in the Demon Abyss language that no one could understand. She seemed to be demanding something from Yu Yang. Ah, she can talk. I'm going to faint. What did it mean that beasts could speak? Even a fool would know that this meant that the beast already had high intelligence. There were gold-ranked beasts in this world, but there were only a few gold-ranked beasts that had high intelligence and could speak. Yushan and Yuling had the urge to commit suicide. They didn't want to live anymore. They didn't want to live anymore. This was too unbearable. Why did all the luck gather on this trash? The heavens were really blind. There were so many geniuses in this world, but they were not as lucky as him, even if they were added together. Now that all the luck had gathered on this trash, what was the point of turning a trash into an abnormal person? Wouldn't it be better to turn a genius into an even more outstanding genius? Not fair. Not fair. The heavens were too kind to this trash. You want Hui Jin? Nonsense, this is my weapon. Didn't you take my dragon-slaying dagger? It's the same if you use it to fight. Forget it. I'll lend you my crescent blade. Remember, I'm just lending it to you. Yu Yang stuffed the crescent blade into the bloody queen's hand. He thought that it was settled, but unexpectedly, the bloody queen's other jade-like hand stretched out again. She spoke very quickly again. No one understood what she meant. You still want a reward to fight? Hey, don't you have any awareness as a beast? Look at Hui Tai Lang. He has never mentioned a reward to me. Yu Yang warned the bloody queen not to be spoiled and pampered. She should learn from Hui Tai Lang, who was doing hard labor. Woof, woof, woof. Hui Tai Lang was very pleased when he heard this and wagged his tail. However, the bloody queen stubbornly stretched out her hand and refused to take it back. Yu Yang didn't have a choice. He could only painfully stuff a wyvern magic crystal into her palm. He thought to himself, this girl is taking advantage of me in front of everyone. I can't lose out no matter what. This girl doesn't have money, but her body is not bad. If it really doesn't work, I'll make her pay with her body. But she's a beast. Wouldn't it be a little too evil if she was a human and a beast? I'm a very pure and good child. Although Yu Yang felt that he was a good child, a certain place down there was still shamefully hard. Ayaya. When the wyvern magic crystal was in her hand, the bloody queen suddenly spread her wings excitedly. With a flap of her wings, She flew up into the sky and let out an excited scream. Although this wasn't a banshee scream, the scream of the Golden King beast still scared the weak beasts to the point that they pissed their pants. In the arena, the beasts that Yu Tian and Yu Yin had summoned again, other than the puppet beasts, were all trembling, as if they wanted to escape. If it wasn't for Yu Tian and Yu Yin controlling them with their minds, those beasts would have already escaped from the arena. This was not surprising. Bronze-rank beasts were much stronger than normal beasts. However, in front of Golden King beasts, they were just trash. The Bloody Queen didn't care about other people's reactions. She was beaming with joy as she circled around in the sky, excitedly flying here and there. Her mouth let out waves of happy screams, as if obtaining the Crescent Blade and Wyvern Magic Crystal from Yu Yang was a great success. I'm going to faint. So this girl is a miser. Yu Yang felt that if this girl needed a Wyvern Magic Crystal every time she fought, it would be the end. Looks like this style couldn't be allowed to continue. He had to go back and teach her properly. She should obediently become a female slave who would say, I want it every time I open my mouth. You pervert, your beasts are also perverted. Shui Tanlang was completely speechless. Indeed, birds of a feather flocked together. Boom! When everyone was completely focused on the Bloody Queen, they suddenly heard a deafening sound. They were all shocked as they looked over, only to see that the barbarian Cow Shadow had raised an incomparably large demon blade and forcefully cut the head of the Kodo beast puppet that Yu Tian had summoned into two. On the other side, Yu Yan's nine-headed puppet was rushing over to support, but the barbarian Cow Shadow stretched out her huge arms and grabbed one of the heads that was constantly expanding and contracting. Sparks flew and lightning crackled. Under everyone's dumbstruck gazes, the barbarian Cow Shadow brutally tore off the nine-headed puppet's metal head from its slender neck. Ignoring the attacks from the other 8 heads of the nine-headed puppet, she followed the hole that was torn open and used her arms to slowly squeeze in. Then, she slowly tore the nine-headed puppet's metal body into 2 halves. Finally, she used her hands to take out the huge magic crystal that was embedded in the middle of the intricate chess piece. Yu Yin was about to cry to death. This was the nine-headed monster's magic crystal, his most precious magic crystal. He had spent a lot of effort to obtain it. He didn't think that his secret weapon, the nine-headed puppet, would be snatched away by the opponent before he could even use it. Hui Tailang's speed was extremely fast as lightning. With a leap, it had already snatched away the nine-headed monster's magic crystal. However, no matter how fast it was, it couldn't be faster than Yu Yang. Yu Yang sent it flying with a kick and kept the nine-headed monster's magic crystal into his bosom. On the other side, the Bloody Queen had already arrived at an unknown time. She was currently holding the magic crystal that she had dug out from the Kodo-like puppet's brain and admiring it excitedly. Her little, but had also been kicked by Yu Yang, and she was sent flying. Who dares to snatch it from me? Yu Yang was going crazy. If he, the owner, did not say that he would give it to the monster, anyone could take the initiative to take it. Everyone was sweating profusely. If other people had a bronze-ranked beast, they would treat it as a precious treasure and protect it with all their might. They wouldn't even bear to hit or scold it. This brat, on the other hand, even used his big feet to kick the Golden King beast. What made people laugh the most was Hui Tailang's praise. It crawled up from the ground, but it didn't betray Yu Yang like what people had imagined. Instead, it eagerly ran to Yu Yang's feet, wagging its tail and pretending to be obedient. Yu Yang sent it flying off the stage with a kick. Don't give me that. I haven't even seen this nine-headed monster's magic crystal before. There's no share for you. The Bloody Queen was kicked by Yu Yang. She was very angry, but she didn't dare to vent her anger on Yu Yang. She could only scream crazily. Her voice shook the whole arena. Everyone felt as if their heads had been hit by a hammer. Low-level beasts immediately fainted. Normal warriors' eyes darkened as they saw stars. They almost fell to the ground. Yu Tian and Yu Yin secretly cursed. They wanted to leave, but it was already too late. The Bloody Queen waved her crescent blade and fiercely pounced on them. The two of them were preparing to summon their courage and order their beasts to face the enemy. They didn't expect the bloody queen to scream again. The two of them were shaken, and their minds went blank. If it wasn't for the protection of their shields, their brains would have been blown apart by the sound waves of the terrifying scream. They had the protection of their shields, so they weren't affected too much. However, their beasts, such as the flame lion, thunder leopard, and flame guard, were in a miserable state. The three beasts that were usually swaggering around were all twitching in pain. Their ears were bleeding, and they wailed in pain. Their limbs were swaying, and their battle power was greatly reduced. The bloody queen was like a tiger that had entered a flock of sheep. She swung the crescent blade in her hands and slashed at the nearest thunder leopard. Blood splattered everywhere. In less than half a minute, the three bronze-ranked beasts had been slaughtered by her in an incomparably bloody manner. There were no complete corpses of the beasts. The flame lion, thunder leopard, and flame guard were all decapitated and dismembered, because they had forcefully dug out the magic crystal in their skulls. Blood and brain matter had splattered all over the ground. Everyone's teeth were trembling as they looked at the bloody queen, whose hands, upper body, and face were covered in blood and brain matter. When everyone saw the bloody queen holding the three magic crystals that were still stained with blood and the satisfied smile on her blood-stained face, they couldn't help but shiver. As expected of the legendary bloody queen, this kind of killing method was really bloody. It was too terrifying. It's over. Ution realized that his strongest beasts had all been killed. Even their magic crystals had been dug out by the bloody queen. The despair of being reduced from a rancor to nothing made his eyes roll back, and he fainted. How could it be like this? No. Yin knelt on the ground powerlessly, painfully looking at the remains of his beloved flame lion. Oh man, send big brother and fourth brother off the arena. Yu Yang waved his hand, and the barbarian cow Shadow fiercely pounced towards the unconscious Ution and the crying Yu Yin. Now that they didn't have their shields, if he didn't beat them up now, when would he? You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.